Good morning. Welcome to Winning at Life. Yeah, I'm your host, Gregory Ricks. Welcome to the show. We've got a lot to cover. We have special guests today. Jude Heath of J. Heath and Company, CPAs. You know, it is tax season, so yeah, we're going to talk about taxes as well. I was looking here at my phone trying to see, is my Facebook Live show on yet? See if it's loaded up so I can push it out there. I'm not seeing it, so let's see. No, not yet. Hey, so that tells you Facebook Live, we're up? Okay, it's not showing up for me to share it at this time, but jump over there and share it to your friends. Check out the Facebook page, my personal page, Gregory Ricks. Check it out. The firm is Gregory Ricks and Associates, the Total Wealth Authority. Check that page out as well. I'll share it when I get to the first break in about 12 minutes. And gosh, you know, I'm going to want to talk about Social Security in hour 2. We may talk about it here a little bit on the front end. When I want to talk with Jude about one of the topics I'll throw at him is taxing Social Security. And that's where there was a discussion the other day, and this is food for thought, Jude, is some people see it as a penalty that they're getting because they kind of see Social Security as a tax throughout their lifetime. So we'll talk about that as well. But in hour 2, I'm gonna bring some Social Security topics to you. You know, another in hour 2 or 3, because we're here till 1 o'clock with you today, is figuring out your life expectancy. It's a Wall Street Journal article I'm going to reference there. Looking at that, there's some good information there as well. There's another one that I just looked at this morning. See how current I am? I'm using a lot of my reading from this morning for today's show, but you know, I've got a ton of stuff from the week as well. How about this for a topic? We have Jude Heath with us in studio, and here's a topic, Wall Street article again, when it pays to hire a tax pro. It's a great topic for discussion today as well. If you want to join the conversation, I'm going to make it easy for you. You can join the Winning at Life app. Well, join. You can download it, become a part of the Winning at Life Nation, and you can text, email, or actually call the show through the app. It's a huge convenience factor, but it also gets you connected to our newsletter, our Wednesday Q&A, and there's a connection there for the podcast, but you can also follow our podcast by going to one of your podcast apps and do a search, and you'll find us there. Or, I was going to say the old-fashioned way, but I'm not there yet. How about email us, info@gregoryricks.com with your question. And now you can do it the old-fashioned way, still, 504-2600-995 to join the conversation. We'll take your topics this hour on taxes, but, you know, I'm here for the financial questions, whatever we can do to help you make better financial decisions. And that's what we should be doing at the core, saving money. You know, I kind of look at 3 core things we like to lead with value at my day job. One is Social Security decisions, because everybody has to make it. It affects 99% of the people out there, and Social Security does one thing that you don't have to do, and that's nothing. If you don't do anything, it's not turning itself on. I don't know if I said that right, but it doesn't do anything without you acting on it. There's no you're old enough, it just starts. No, it doesn't do that. You'll just be bleeding money because you're not going to recoup beyond 6 months out. So Social Security decisions are really important. Number 2, tax efficiency. That's where Jude comes in. You've got to keep in mind, Uncle Sam's going to take as much as he can, and if you're just kind of not worrying about it, you're going to probably end up paying more. But how about create tax efficiency? And then number 3, core thing we like to lead with is minimizing risk. I think that's really important. And as you get older, you should become more conservative. And actually, the higher amount of income you take, I'll just kind of call a range with our portfolio asset classes that 4% from assets is a comfortable stream. Doesn't mean it won't stress your assets over the next 30 years, but it gives you a high probability of success. The more risk you take on, the less you need to move below that 4%. And also the other direction, if you want to stay at say, well, gosh, I need that 4%. Well, you're going to have to get more conservative over time if you're going to move above that 4% for success. We had a case, Jude, recently we were looking at household came to us and they're taking way above the 4% income stream, and the firm was said, you'll be fine. Well, the reality is they're going to run out of money in a decade. It's not going to work good. So in going through that, I've been doing this a long time and not looked at a case where they're taking that high of income, and then our kind of discussion, how do we make this work? So basically they had to essentially remove risk from the equation to make it work better long term. And another thing that helps on income, because you have to take income to account for tax payment, because most people have qualified money, those big tax-infested accounts, so they have to take money out and enough to pay the taxes so they net where they want to be. When we kind of say, how much income are you needing for retirement? They'll give a number. Well, is that net or gross? Very important part of the discussion. But what if you shift more income over time to tax-free income, like Roth IRAs, for example? Then you don't need to take as much income, which means assets could last longer. So, and then I saw something also regarding bucket lists, saying that's messing up people's retirements. These bucket lists, are they all they're cracked up to be? I don't know. So, welcome to the show, Jude. How are you doing today?
Great.
Beautiful weekend.
It is nice.
Any plans this afternoon?
Work.
I wonder why. Oh, it's tax season. So is this meaning it's probably, it's in kind of 3, am I wrong? Is your world is kind of, as far as time goes, is kind of 3 parts, and it doesn't really wrap up until mid-October?
Right. So this first flight, so to speak, will end around the middle of June. We'll have everyone filed that can be filed or wants to be filed before October, and then we'll move into summer work. So this is the time where we have to run to that point.
I was expecting you to talk about April 18th. Isn't that the filing date this year?
That is the filing date.
So I was expecting you to say, we've got a lot of work to do by April 18th. And no, you just jumped right on into mid-June from that standpoint. Don't even look at April 18th as a thing.
We get to a point with April the 18th where for those folks that have refunds, you come in on April the 14th, you always have a refund. You're pretty much going to get extended because there's no harm, no foul. We got to get to the folks that owe at least enough to a tax estimate, hopefully enough to get a file in, get a filing in. But for the late filers, for the late comers, and this looks like it might be a late tax season, some folks are procrastinating a little bit, getting their paperwork in. It's a little slower off the starting block. So if you come in April the 14th and you've always had a refund and nothing has really changed in your world, then we're just going to say, hey, let's just extend you. We'll do you first week of May. We've got a clearer mind, that sort of thing. And so that sort of stuff, the filings that are in and can be done by April the 18th but are extended, we wrap those up through the course of May.
So with the tax credits changing, withholdings being impacted, what are some of the problems you're seeing right now? Is anything taking you by surprise, some anomalies? Well, I didn't think this would be that big of an impact, but it is.
Well, I always see this time of year people not considering new W-4s at the beginning of the year with life changes or credit changes. You know, when we saw the pandemic money released and increased refunds, and some of it was pre-refunded, like the child tax credits was refunded in advance of the year, started around July of that year, in 22, or 21, excuse me. And so that whole process needs to be evaluated, and the W-4 needs to be corrected if you anticipate a refund. If you know, some folks use their refund to pay for kids' tuition, that sort of stuff, or they're saving for something, and so when they get to the end of the year and it's break even or they owe a little bit, there's a shock. And so we have to talk about, is there another way? You know, all those are conversations to talk about spending, savings, and tax withholdings.
Okay, we're going to come back to that W-4. I've got a couple more questions, and I also want to look at it how taxpayers look at the W-4 and the purpose of it and get into also why it has changed. You're listening to Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks. We'll be back in about 3 minutes.
Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
I'm your host, Gregory Ricks, a financial advisor here to answer your questions and help you win with your money.
Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify.
That's exactly what I needed to know. Simple information from good people.
Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Mortgage Gumbo, can you help me? Can you help my client purchase a new home loan? Gumbo Nation, this is the questions I receive daily from listeners just like you. Hi, this is Dwayne Stein of MortgageGumbo.com, and I'm proud to say yes, I can help you. At Mortgage Gumbo, we guide you through the home buying process, giving you the whys to each step in your exciting journey. Let's start with a free chat today. Visit MortgageGumbo.com.
If you like money, you'll love the Winning at Life app. On the Winning at Life app, you can listen to the show live, and if we're not on at the moment, you can hear a replay of the latest episode of Winning at Life. Whether you're getting a late start on your retirement savings or keeping up with the financial news, Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks is there, on demand. Hear the Winning at Life show on the Winning at Life app, your wallet's favorite app.
Half of estate planning is having a plan put together for your loved ones when you pass away. The other half of estate planning is dealing with someone else's plan when they pass away. Sometimes they have a great plan, but sometimes you need a little help. Don't leave your loved ones in a bind. Call me, and we'll make sure you have a plan. Hi, I'm Wes Blanchard, an estate planning attorney in Metairie. What's your plan? Find me at wjblanchardraw.com.
The Ricks Report with Gregory Ricks.
If you do not have money set aside. You do not have retirement assets. You don't have significant savings. You're thinking, well, when should I turn on Social Security? I'll answer that for you right now. You should probably work as long as you possibly can and as much as you can, because it means you defer Social Security as long as you can up to age 70. And you can keep working past that. That's fine. But at age 70, you have to turn it on because you've maximized it there. And you've created the largest possible payment, and you're going to need all of that.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks, Saturday mornings at 10 on News Talk 99.5 WRNO. Find us on the Winning at Life app or GregoryRicks.com. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
We ain't playing nothing slow at the parking lot party. The tailgate buzz just a sipping on suds. Ain't never too early to light one up, fill up your cup. 'Cause there ain't no party like the pre-party. And after the party, the after party at the parking lot party. Well, I hope the band is doing sound check. Well, they sound pretty good. Hell, I ain't even bought no tickets yet. Yeah, but that's alright, we don't care. 'Cause all the pretty girls are sitting right here, kicking back in a lawn chair at the parking lot party.
Hey, y'all. Welcome back to Winning at Life. For the next 3 hours, we're going to talk money. Can we make better decisions? Accumulate more money, keep more money. I know somebody said, well, I just want to live life and figure it out as I go. Might not work too well. Retirement. Got an article to talk with you about next hour. Figuring out your life expectancy is tough. How not to run out of money. Because I'll ask you, answer this question for me. Shouldn't take you but like 3 seconds of thought at most. Is there retirement without income? So you've got to have a way to generate income. If that source of the income runs out, what do you have? You don't have income, so are you retired? Yeah, it's a tough situation in that case. We have Jude Heath with us this hour. If you want to join the conversation, 504-2600-995. When we went to break, I'd asked Jude about the W-4s, and I think it's a great topic to move back to. So one of the warnings the IRS gave us early in this tax season, which we're what? About 4 weeks in now? No, January really doesn't count. We'll kind of look at, okay, now you can start doing your returns. January was kind of prep time to get ready for go time. So they said, expect less of a refund this year. So why is that? And it seemed to be COVID related.
Right. So the tax credits, the child tax credits and the recovery credit rebates, those things that we had last year that, we added $1,000, $2,000 here and there to some folks' refunds are not there in 22. And so, yes, we are seeing a shift. And for those folks that, a couple $1,000 is a good bit of money in their household budget, that hurts if they expected it and they don't get it. So what we've encouraged folks to do is let's get it in early. Let's see what the number is. We can always keep working on it to improve, if it's possible, whatever the law allows for you in your individual tax situation. But don't hide your head in the sand on this one. You got to know your number.
Okay, so people use their tax withdrawals in their paychecks as a savings account. You think that's a good idea?
Is one instance that I would recommend it, and we've talked about it several times on the show. I really like diverting some of your refund to your if the I-bond is part of your strategy, that's a nice extra amount over the annual I-bond limit. And so we talk to our clients about that. If that's for you, if you like that, and that's part of your equation, I-bond purchases, then we want to game for adding that extra $5,000 to your account.
Jude, that's a great answer for that. That was awesome. I like that idea as well. We have talked about that, and sometimes people are surprised because that's one thing I learned from you is from an IRS preference, and let's just say from a business standpoint, IRS likes to see a little bit of overpayment versus you always owing them. But being ahead makes you look favorable to the IRS, but I kind of look at that as part one of two, and two is if you're going to owe next year, you already got money banked ahead of that. And second is you're creating opportunity, which gives you another way to put money in the I-bonds. If you've already maxed out, done your $10,000, it's another way per taxpayer to get another $5,000 in. Great answer. So where somebody's done their W-4 with their employer a year or two ago, should they revisit that, even though we're already into March?
Yes. So if you haven't done your W-4 for 2023 and your tax return or your tax equation is not coming out to your liking, then and you're an employee, then that's where we start first. So, it's things like, what are you claiming on your W-4? Are you married, but you're claiming the higher single rate? What's your combined income? Those types of conversations. And so, as you said, no, we don't want to overpay the IRS a bunch of money just to have a savings plan at the end of the year. But a little extra in the bank is just good business.
Good business to have, not to try to have it at zero or you owing them, but be a little bit ahead is good business. I like that as well. And if you're going to use it for savings, it should be targeted for I-bonds. Once again, safe way to save money for the future. And you could almost look. We use treasury ladders in our models, so I'm a fan of treasuries. We're just these I-bonds or inflationary bonds. We think we're going to have inflation for a while. We're not getting back to that 1.7% average inflation we had in the 2010s. And when you look at money today, where we're seeing, I think our treasury ladder's looking like about 4.87, somewhere in that range, and being less than 2 years ago, we're at less than a 1% world. Like, that's 4 times the return, almost 5 times the return there is crazy. And you kind of like, so you don't, like, I don't have time for 4.8%. Yeah, you do. That's compounding money. That's serious there. When I look and I think about reasonable expectation of returns going forward, when you're blending risk, I think it's 5 to 6% is a reasonable expectation over time. Somebody said, well, I think you should average 9 to 10%. You're not even being realistic. The market hasn't done that as an average over the past 25 years when you consider what it takes to get real growth on a return. Maybe the market's averaged higher, but it has to because it loses money. Historically, 3 out of every 10, by decades, 3 out of every 10 years. So when we go back to the W-4, they go to irs.gov, what happens when they do it there? Is this something they got to turn into their employer? What's kind of the rules of that?
Right. And so the employer sort of drives the ship with that. And so you would turn in your W-4. And look, some of these employers now have that on have the W-4 to fill out on their human resources portal now. So you can change it during the year if you want. You just dial in and make your changes. And so you don't have to go to irs.gov and use their PDFs and fill those in. So, yeah, that's the process is you create a new W-4 to change it to your liking and then plan for a better tax outcome in the beginning of 2024.
So simple document to go through, sign it, turn it into your employer, and that sets the withholding going forward. So then there's no surprise at tax time. Would you look at that beginning, every January?
So what we encourage our clients to do is to get a good take on where your taxes are. And then once you see that it's not to your liking, it's time to turn in a new W-4.
Okay, so that's kind of dealing with tax time and you're not liking how it looked, then put in another one and make those changes going forward.
Right, February, March, right around this time.
So you gave me an article to look at this morning regarding a modern IRS. Be careful what you wish for. Well, we're wishing for less taxes. And when we call them, need help, we get response. Is that wishing for too much?
Yeah, so the interesting part about this article from the Wall Street Journal is that it's written by a practicing CPA in Atlanta, and I really liked his take on, where the IRS money that they've been given from the Inflation Reduction Act is going. And the interesting part about it is that, that the IRS sort of game has changed in that if you go way back to Al Gore, a kinder, gentler IRS, it's changing a little bit in that now it's the taxpayer's responsibility to know tax law. And so prior to that change in their motto or their mission statement, it was the taxpayer's responsibility to pay the correct tax. Now it's to pay a fair tax.
Fair. I like the correct. Fair is my take.
Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks. Something that's come up on the show over the last 10 years is that if you're not at your old job, maybe your 401k shouldn't be either. But do you really know why we say that? It's a funny thing. We put a few $100 in our 401k every month. It ends up to be thousands of dollars every year, hundreds of thousands of dollars over our career. And you don't really know that much about it. How do you invest it? How do you diversify? What do you buy? What do you avoid? You've got a financial situation and you're not quite sure what to do. Ask Gregory. Ask Gregory is our new podcast with these financial topics broken down into specific little chunks. So if you have a financial situation or you just want to learn more about money, ask Gregory. Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app or wherever you get podcasts. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC. The firm is not affiliated with the U.S. government or any government agency.
Hi, I'm Gregory Ricks. Today we see rising costs at the grocery store and the gas pump. Have you prepared for rising inflation and higher taxes in your financial plan? Get our guide, Inflation and Your Retirement. Go to GregoryRicks.com/inflation to get our guide today. We are Gregory Ricks & Associates, the Total Wealth Authority.
Our firm provides insurance services, investment, and advisory services. Offered only by duly registered individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC. AE Wealth Management, LLC, and Gregory Ricks & Associates are not affiliated companies.
If you like money, you'll love the Winning at Life app. On the Winning at Life app, you can listen to the show live, and if we're not on at the moment, you can hear a replay of the latest episode of Winning at Life. Whether you're getting a late start on your retirement savings or keeping up with the financial news, Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks is there on demand. Hear the Winning at Life show on the Winning at Life app, your wallet's favorite app.
Cancer Crusaders has been raising funds for cancer research in New Orleans since 1976. Cancer Crusaders, Inc. is a nonprofit, all-volunteer organization with no administrative overhead. Cancer Crusaders has raised over $4 million so far, and all of that money goes to the Louisiana State University Health Sciences Center Foundation and the Tulane Cancer Center in New Orleans, where they are literally working on a cure for cancer. Get involved, donate, volunteer, or attend a fundraiser. CancerCrusadersLA.com.
Fox News, I'm Karen McHugh. What might this week's collapse of Silicon Valley Bank mean for the nation's economic future?
This could be a one-off for a small bank or a preview of what's to come, with the Fed signaling more aggressive rate hikes will continue. This bank had been a go-to for startups over the last 40 years, but rising interest rates and rising costs due to continued high inflation are leading many to take their money out to pay down expenses. Problem, of course, when too many clients do this and withdraw cash at once, which in this case forced the bank to sell bonds at a huge loss. And since the Federal Reserve is hiking rates, bonds are getting creamed. Of course, bond prices and interest rates move in opposite directions. Now, this bank had less cash to its clients. The fear right now is this could happen to other banks.
Fox's Lucas Tomlinson. Despite reports that the administration was ready to green light the massive Willow Alaskan oil project, the White House now says that no final decisions have been made. America is listening to Fox News.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks is a copyright of Down South Strategies for the private use of our audience. Any unauthorized use of this broadcast without express consent is prohibited. For podcasts, show information, and contacts to our sponsors, go to winningatlife.com or download the Winning at Life app. If you have a financial situation and you're not quite sure what to do, you better call Gregory. We are Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
You're listening to Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks. I'm your host, Gregory Ricks. If you want to join the conversation, 504-260-0995. I'll be checking the app and the email. The app's the Winning at Life app. Just go to your app store and search and add that to your smartphone and email us if you want, info@gregoryricks.com. Whether you have a question for today's show or needing help to maybe in my day job over at Gregory Ricks and Associates, a Total Wealth Authority. Let's jump to the Winning at Life hotline. Janet dialed 504-260-0995 to join the conversation. Janet from Mandeville, welcome to Winning at Life. How can Jude and I help you today?
Hey, good morning. Thank you for taking my call. And I guess I appreciate your wisdom with all of this stuff. But anyway, so today I was calling about an LLC that I just created for this year. And it's a sole proprietorship, but one of the lawyers that I consulted with said that I put a member of the LLC as my trust, since I have a trust. So I did that. But then when I created the EIN came out to be my name and not the trust for the LLC. Does that make sense?
Now, is this
now my question?
Throw one question. You're speaking of an irrevocable trust or revocable?
Yes, sir. A living irrevocable trust, correct. Okay. And so this will be for a rental property. So I guess the bank, when I was talking to the bank to open a bank account, they were like kind of different. I know it's an LLC, but the EIN is under my personal name, but then the LLC has a member as a trust. The reason for that being in a trust, because the lawyer said then that would make it, I don't have to go to probate in case something ever happened. So then now my question is it better to just leave it as it is, or should I call the IRS again and change or create, to change it to the trust as the EIN, LLC with the trust as, I don't know how to explain this, but since it's not the same. But when I called the IRS, they told me, no, that's correct. But why would the bank kind of think that it's two different entities, although the LLC, it's for the LLC? So, or should I just go back to the state and change the LLC as me, an individual, as the sole proprietorship of this LLC, and then put the LLC in the trust to avoid probate?
Okay, we got a
That's
little
a
bit,
lot. I mean, does that
little
make
bit to
sense?
unpack there. So you utilized an attorney, but you did not have a CPA involved during this process
No, sir.
as well. So you've got a rental property that you wanted to put inside of an entity. So you've got a LLC, and and that's what holds the property, the LLC.
No, the property is still in the trust.
The property's
So I
actually
still have
in
to
the trust.
transfer. Right. So I still have to transfer the property into the LLC. Is what my understanding is.
Okay. Jude's going to be the expert here on this because it's a tax situation, but it still sounds like the trust is a revocable trust in that case.
Correct.
Is what it
Correct.
sounds like, that because if it was irrevocable, the trust itself would have an EIN number. Jude, I'm going to let you take over because he's busy making notes over there to help you with this.
So just to make sure, Janet, the rental property is actually titled to the trust?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then the lawyer suggested that the trust be a member in an LLC.
Correct.
Okay. And this was so your heirs didn't have to open up succession?
That's what he's saying. Correct.
Okay.
But I own this property for at least 3 years now. And it's being rented. So kind of felt like I need to, put it in an LLC just to protect me, just in case something happened, liability-wise. So I started it for this year, but I'm not really, it's kind of like getting a road, a bump on the road.
Sure. Are you comfortable with how much insurance you have on the rental property? Like slip and falls?
Not really.
No? Okay.
Because I was involved in that July or June when all the insurance left the state. So
I see. And the tenants or the style of property that you're renting, I mean, are they high risk? Or is it middle income?
I don't. No, I mean, it's in Metairie.
Okay.
It's a good area in Metairie.
Yeah, so it sounds like it's just you want to make sure that in the event that something happens. So it's going to start with the IRS, and I think that the IRS is going to have to probably cancel that first federal ID number. But it sounds like you've already tried that, and the agent that you talked to really couldn't help you, and that doesn't surprise me. So in instances where we've run into problems with EINs being set up incorrectly, we've just written a letter to the IRS and just said, look, we didn't use this. Please cancel it. Now, that does not change what's at the Secretary of State. And I'm not entirely sure that you can do the federal ID number online with their online portal, setting it up as a trust, as a member. I haven't done that yet because they would need to verify that you have the court capacity, the legal capacity to act for the trust. So I think that's going to be a little bit more involved than just using their portal.
Well, I guess then if that's not possible, would that be better to just just go back to the state and change the trust? I mean, change the LLC as me as a sole member, and then because this other lawyer now said, then you turn around and put the LLC in the trust.
Well, let me ask you a question. Is there other parts of your estate that would require a succession to be opened? I mean, if it has to be opened anyway, then
Oh wait, no, sir. I'm sorry. No, I have everything in the trust except for my car.
okay.
Well, I'm throw a couple thoughts in here. I can see where you put a rental property in an LLC. I know business people that kind of like they've got 20 rental properties and they have an LLC for each one. So it protects each property from the other and protects you personally from that.
Exactly.
Now, from a succession standpoint, if the core thing is to have a will. Now, if you want to avoid public view and make this go smoothly, a revocable trust is the way to go. You do a irrevocable trust, you really can't change much there. You're kind of locked in. So my thoughts is I don't know if we have clarity here, but I like the idea of the rental property being an LLC. The LLC can be in the trust, but that trust, I would lean towards revocable trust because then you can make changes. You can move the LLC later out of the trust or maybe put another one in, even change the beneficiaries of the trust.
Correct.
So the LLC should have and let me add one other thing. So the LLC should have the tax ID number, and the trust, if it's revocable, would be under your tax ID number. Is that correct, Jude?
Yes.
Okay. So that's me cleaning that up a little bit. Any other questions, Janet? We've got about a minute left.
Well, I guess my real question now is, do I go back to the state and change the LLC as me as a sole provider, and then I don't have to worry about the EIN number with the IRS?
That's one way to do
and then
it.
Just later on, just put the LLC. Once I move the title to the LLC, then I go and just draft a letter from a lawyer saying that I'm putting the LLC in the trust. That seems to be the better way of doing it.
Yeah,
right?
we can't give you absolution here on this from a show standpoint. The guidance is there's a little bit of tweaks you need to make. I would involve a CPA, preferably Jude Heath of J. Heath and Company CPAs, to help make sure you get this right, because what you don't want is problems later. Thank you for calling, and it's a great question, a learning topic. You're listening to Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks. We'll be back in 4 minutes.
If you've got a financial situation and you're not quite sure what to do, you better call Gregory.
I started my retirement about 5 years ago, and I truly am late in life.
Would I be better to just withdraw the money out of my TSP and pay that mortgage off?
My problem is I have champagne taste in a beer salary. What is a balloon note?
Is that cutting it too close?
So will I still be eligible for Medicare?
Is there anything better I can do with the money I transferred into the Roth from my 401k? My goal is to retire at age 60. I'm 54 right now.
Hey, I have a 9-year-old son, and he's got probably $2,500 in. Is there anything we can invest it in?
And I just started a 401k a little late in life.
Then that should be like 10%.
Now, how far in advance do you recommend that someone goes to visit the Social Security office?
I want some money in a casino playing poker.
Gregory Ricks and Associates, 504-832-9200 or GregoryRicks.com. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Oh, Rover, you have fleas again? Prevent fleas and ticks from setting up shop in your backyard. Those bloodsuckers can bite up to 400 times a day and carry nasty diseases like typhus and tapeworms. Give Rover some relief and contact Mosquito Joe. Their mosquito control services also kill and prevent fleas and ticks. Let Mosquito Joe be your first line of defense against those blood-sucking pests. NewOrleans.mosquitojoe.com. NewOrleans.mosquitojoe.com.
Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
My mother just inherited a couple of annuities. If you could explain the difference between a government pension offset and the windfall elimination provision is.
You now make too much income to contribute to a Roth IRA.
Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify.
You all are so good.
Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
The Ricks Report with Gregory Ricks.
At the core, I always tell people, I'm not here to make you rich. I'm here to make sure you don't run out of money, that you don't run out of income. That's how I look at my job. Over time, saving, making good decisions can make you rich. But what you have is, what is your core thing? Your core thing should be making money. And your core thing, you should set aside money to work elsewhere. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to put it to risk. You could put it to safety. But your core thing makes you money. Or you tell me your core thing is the market, day trading, or gambling in the market. It shouldn't be. You should have a core thing that makes you money, and you peel some off for the future when you're done with your core.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks, Saturday mornings at 10 on News Talk 99.5 WRNO. Find us on the Winning at Life app or GregoryRicks.com. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Hey, y'all. Welcome back. You're listening to Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks. I've got Jude Heath of J. Heath Company CPAs. He's actually one of our show sponsors. We're always glad to get input from him. He visits with us monthly on a regular basis. And over at my firm, Gregory Ricks and Associates at the Total Wealth Authority, he assists clients and when there's complications, similar like to the caller, we get Jude Heath involved. I've got an article here that we're going to refer to in just a moment, when it pays to hire a tax pro. And I think that caller was an example of you should hire a tax pro. So in setting up, and your firm sets up LLCs as well.
Yes.
From that standpoint. So simplifying back to that, I think a good idea to put the property, and why are we doing that two ways? One, limit liabilities, and second, create tax efficiency. So you could defer to the attorney on limiting, help me structure to protect liabilities, but I'd also, on the other side, I want tax efficiency there. I want to be able to keep most of the earnings possible without the IRS getting upset with me. So I'd get a CPA involved. And see too many times where people maybe skip that part. Well, I'm telling you, you already got the more expensive one in the mix, and that's the attorney, not the CPA. That's probably the more value you're getting there to create tax efficiency. Irrevocable trust, if the trust is going to be taxable and you're putting something in it that's going to generate earnings, you get to max tax brackets really, really quick there. It jumps from a low tax to real high. I think it's at about $13,000, so you're not going to earn much money without getting there. Don't hold me to that. Jude knows whether or not I'm right on that number. So that worries me a little bit there, but that structuring is you should get a CPA involved. Any other thoughts before we jump to the referencing this article here?
No, I think that you're right on, is that, we're conversationally can talk about structuring and these transactions that this lady and other callers would have, and just assist the attorneys that they advise with to make sure that they get what they want.
Another Wall Street article here. When it pays to hire a tax pro, more Americans are asking a preparer to do their taxes. Here's when it makes sense. I'll have this up on my blog, hopefully this week. My team, the articles, and I went through a few this morning. The article references Crystal Dykes never had trouble doing her own taxes, but for the year 2022, the American expat said she realized she needed the services of an old school tax preparer. In that one tax year, Dyke said it made sense to impact of selling her South Carolina home and working remotely in Canada. She also got a notice from the IRS saying that she made a mistake with her child tax credit. What I see is things used to be simpler, and maybe the software worked, but I'm seeing more and more of this in stories from people and articles I read that it's actually more complicated. When you think it's simple, but there's more moving parts, and you got to have details on so many different things, because the IRS, that goes like to the Venmo and stuff. That was kind of paused for this year, this doing transactions through apps for side hustles. Well, that complication is still coming. And once again, if you mess this up, the IRS is sending you an auto-generated letter in 2 years, because they've got the computers are looking at everything. They'll send you a letter saying, hey, you forgot this, you owe us money, taxes and penalty. And it's so easy. It could be forgetting to put a stock sell in your return. I heard a story of recently of somebody forgot to put their Social Security income into the mix. And then they left another 1099 out. Next thing you know, they're owing $15,000 when they thought they were clean. That's kind of disruptive.
Absolutely. And one of the things that, this article about the changing IRS talks about from the Wall Street Journal is that the penalties, it's not just taxes. The penalties are increasing almost exponentially. One that we just saw a month ago, everyone's familiar with backup withholding. When you issue a 1099 to someone, it gives you a bad Social Security number. Well, the IRS puts it on you as the employer to make sure that they give you a second form of identification, kind of like an I-9. If you don't do that through the years, the IRS charges you, the employer, the backup withholding. We're sitting on with a contractor. He wouldn't check with his guys to make sure they had the right social. They turned in the wrong social on 1099s. A couple of years, he came to us later. He's got a $50,000 civil penalty just for not doing what he was supposed to, which is looking at a Social Security card of the people he's employing.
And we thought this was all easy. I just got a job, I just have income, no complications. Well, you've got kids, you want to get those child credits, you've got a home, maybe you're working remote and you're saying, well, I've got an office in my home, I'm working remotely for a firm. Do I get to write off that office? And okay. And next thing you know, they're making errors. So let's speak of that real quick, because that's something I looked at recently in an article was about the remote workers. They're working from their home. They're an employee. So they're thinking they may have tax deductions there. Do they?
So employee business expenses were repealed with the Trump Act. That is no more 2106. So that's not available. But the bigger issue with remote workers is, like, I've got a regular client that works out of New York but lives here. We've talked about it at length. The states are starting to rule on these work-at-home folks. Where does the work really occur? Her employer in New York will not set up a relationship with Louisiana on purpose. She wants to do everything right. She's double paying tax, paying New York tax and Louisiana tax, just to make sure that she doesn't get on the wrong side of the state of Louisiana. And so there's other things to consider, not when we can go work from wherever, but what's the tax law? What does that jurisdiction, how does that jurisdiction hold about where the work actually occurs? There are other reasons, other than just the IRS, why we're a great investment. And I think our industry is a great investment. And I think that's what you read in that article is we just sit and talk about a person's individual financial and tax situation and help them make good choices.
Yeah, in this article, the IRS estimates the average time all Americans spend on taxes is 13 hours at a cost of $250, including both those who file through a preparer and their own. For individual filers with business income like self-employment income reported on Schedule C, the average burden is about 25 hours at a cost of $530. I'm not sure where they get that cost breakdown, but I guess that's their cost of the do-it-yourselfers. But that's a lot of time to put in, and then to find out 2 years later you made errors, you forgot some stuff. And details matter to the IRS, and forgetting something, they'll remind. It's easy. It's like, oh, I forgot to include that interest from a savings account over in Texas or wherever. So this person's kind of paying double taxes because of Louisiana and New York. When it's all said and done and returns and all are filed, will they still be double taxed? Or is that a safety mechanism to make sure she doesn't owe?
It's a safety mechanism to make sure that she complies with the fact that she's working in Louisiana for a company that will not withhold Louisiana taxes. This is Louisiana income, but yet she's being taxed in New York. And so
who's paying her back? New York?
No, she's paying.
Yeah, but when the taxes are done, would that be a refund from New York?
No.
She's going to be taxed in both.
Yes.
Wow.
She's choosing to do that.
Okay. Because she could move back up to Buffalo or Manhattan or wherever.
Right. And it's just on her piece. Her husband works locally. Every tax situation is unique. So we enjoy it. You know, you and I have talked at length. We absolutely love understanding our clients' tax situations and helping them figure it out, keeping them safe. The last thing we want to do is create a situation where they owe something 2 or 3 years from now with some kind of audit or some kind of notice that comes out of savings. The tax savings that we can give our clients or help our clients achieve, we want them to keep those through the years. When safe, available by law.
Well, one of the things I have mentioned, there's a free file over at irs.gov, just a gross income of no more than $73,000. You could go through that process. Have you looked at that at all? Keep in mind, we've got 40 seconds here. If you have complications in that, I wouldn't try for the free file. I'd probably lean on you is where I was going. Would you agree with that?
I do agree with that.
Yeah, so just because you've got 60,000 income doesn't mean it's simple, and you may have forgot stuff that puts you at 80 from that standpoint. You do have that option, but Jude, thank you for being with us on the show today. Man, we appreciate what you do for our clients, our friends and family, and the listeners here to Winning at Life. How do we reach you?
It's jheathcpa.com or 504-832-1873.
You're listening to Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks. We'll be back in a few minutes.
From the Gregory Ricks and Associates Wealth Management Studios, WRNO-FM, New Orleans, an iHeart radio station.
Is it a sign of things to come? I'm Pam Puso, Fox News. Federal officials say it's an isolated incident, the sudden and stunning collapse of Silicon Valley Bank. It's the second biggest bank failure in U.S. history.
SVB's spiral began when it surprised investors with news it needed to raise over $2 billion. The reason being its startup clients had been withdrawing more cash than usual amidst the Fed raising rates and a chilly fundraising environment. Now, the tech community got jumpy. The stock was in free fall, and investors warned SVB might be in real trouble. That caused mass hysteria and a bank run. In other words, a ton of clients simultaneously tried to withdraw funds.
Fox's Kelly O'Grady, financial jitters are not being contained to the U.S. The UK finance minister has spoken to the governor of the Bank of England about SVB. The status of a massive oil project in Alaska is still unknown. The White House said today no final decisions on the Willow project have been made. There had been reports late yesterday that President Biden planned to green light the project. We're also waiting to hear if the president will sign legislation to declassify all U.S. intelligence on the origins of COVID-19. Congress has unanimously passed the measure.
Friday, House Intel Committee Chairman Mike Turner said the declassification could be done while still protecting sources and other data. Connecticut Democratic Congressman Jim Hines said,
"The chairman and I have seen all of the classified information on this, and we don't know. We don't know the origins of the COVID pandemic."
The vote comes just days after the Department of Energy concluded with low confidence that COVID likely came from a lab, though other U.S. agencies have concluded they think COVID evolved naturally.
Fox's Jessica Rosenthal. America's listening to Fox News.
Hey, y'all. Welcome to Winning at Life, live financial news talk radio. Hey, everybody that's watching the show. We're streaming over on Facebook Live, our YouTube page as well, and some other channels also. So we always enjoy the viewers joining us. Listeners to the radio, welcome to Winning at Life. We've just added some other stations add on this hour. This is hour 2 of our Saturday morning show. I start every Saturday with you at 10 and we'll roll till 1 o'clock. Then I'm off for the weekend. Go and have a nice, relaxing lunch someplace. Hopefully you'll be able to do the same. I always kind of have a rotation of restaurants that I like to attend, and one of my favorites that I have into the mix, and we ordered some takeout yesterday, some pastas from Spitali's Deli over in Metairie, and it was pretty awesome. One of the spaghetti pastas actually went fast, so just kind of two different flavors. But yeah, I did a firm crawfish boil yesterday. Man, was that good. I basically had 3 boils. That's the amount that I have, and thanks to Oak Seafood is who helped us with the crawfish for that. And Pierrepont, Louisiana is where Davis is out of. And there's some people are, well, who's cooking it? Who do you have to cook? I do it. I'm pretty good at it. I've been around a while and enjoy that. But is kind of when I looked at doing that for my team, and actually we're going to do another one in May. This is kind of the earliest that we've done that before. So, and I just last week, my wife Stacy, and she's Chief Financial Officer of Gregory Ricks and Associates, the Total Wealth Authority, and brought it up on Monday. I said, because I was saying, well, I'd like to do one in March. She said, it's March now. I'm like, what? I was thinking I'm still in February. And she says, that it's next week, that window to do that. I'm like, oh. And then on Monday, I said, we'll make a decision by Monday evening. Ultimately, I made the decision Tuesday morning. Okay, we'll go forward and do that. So this was the earliest, and then I'm going to do another one in May and allow the team to invite family members over to it as well. Might have to do 4 sacks that day. Might get somebody to assist me in doing that. But here's why I did that and what I like, because some of the people are like, he's always so busy going around doing things. What can I do to help? Well, I'll let them help, but it's about me servicing them, being of service to my team. I want them to come and enjoy, and that's kind of what that is about, because our team, they are really important to us. Without our team, we can't take care of the clients. So, I tell you what, we've got a team of A players, unbelievable staff for our Baton Rouge office, our Mandeville office, our Metairie office, and our Gulfport, Mississippi office. Just a team of A players that love to take care of clients. We're very process driven, but what makes a difference is A players being on the team to take care of the clients that we love. If you want to know more about our team, hey, if you're kind of like, wow, I'd like to be a part of that, because we are hiring people looking to add A players, go to our website, GregoryRicks.com. I guess there's a team page or something. I don't know specifically where that page is, because I have an A player on my team handling that as well. And if you're looking for somebody to help you with your money, think about that. How would you like a team of A players taking care of you and looking out for you? And if you'd like more information, the website's GregoryRicks.com, and you can go and read more information on the guided planning system process, our trademark process that we follow. The website has that. If you want to call and get something going, the number's easy, 504-832-9200, or email info@GregoryRicks.com. We have somebody to take your call right now, or whenever you're convenient. The important thing is about starting a relationship. And we go through what's a fit process. You don't have to worry about being sold or pressure to make a decision. We just take you through the process. You can opt out at any time, and it's a fit for both sides. You have to decide, are we a fit for you? And as a firm, are you a fit for us as a client? We're not, and I'll just tell you, we're not everything to everybody, but we're everything to a select group of people that wish to work towards a work optional lifestyle. And if we're not a fit, it is okay. That's not a worry. And we might be a fit later if we're not a fit now. And if you opt out, it's okay. So we just want you to be comfortable, and I ultimately think how you should look at it is, are we a fit for a long-term relationship helping you reach your financial goals? That is, to me, just a simple way to define what we do. As far as the show this hour, I've got a few topics to talk to you about. May touch back on a little bit of taxes. We had Jude Heath of J. Heath & Company CPAs. He's a show contributor, also one of the show sponsors as well. So he joins us once a month, but I'd asked him to stay longer, and he said, oh no, we're right in the heat of tax season. Even though the temperature's moderate outside, very comfortable, but they're in the heat of it right now from a tax standpoint. So he couldn't give us any more time. So we appreciate him taking that hour to help us. And one of the big topics, if you want to see the replay that's on Facebook Live, that is reboot at 1:00, or listen to the audio that'll be loaded Monday. One thing he talks about, I think is important, is the W-4, reviewing that every year as well, subject to how did your tax return come out. So I thought that was a great piece of information then. And then we also had a real estate investor call last hour about having a LLC and a trust, and there were some complications regarding the EIN number, the federal tax number for the trust. She thought it was for the trust, but then it's her tax number. So you can catch that on the replay and sort through that. But what ultimately, she probably needed to get a tax person like Jude, a CPA, involved, along with what the attorney was doing for that as well. You can fix one part, but if the other part's broken, that's kind of a problem. In essence, if we're doing structuring, I look for it to do two things. Is it reducing liability, and is it creating tax efficiency there? It might not necessarily be a tax savings, but create efficiencies and get that right. And, one of the articles I referenced last hour was regarding Wall Street article by Ashley Ebling, when it pays to hire a tax pro. The article was just saying where people think it's simple, but heck, what's that TurboTax? There's an option to buy add-ons to do-it-yourself software. So you're hiring software or buying software to do it yourself, but TurboTax has launched an add-on product where you chat with a tax pro in 2017, and it's full-service handoff product last tax season. H&R Block, which started as an in-person tax prep shop, has added its chat with its Tax Pro add-on do-it-yourself product for 3 years. A tax pro doesn't sign the completed return unless taxpayers pay an additional fee. So what I'm seeing here is these softwares now are turning on to, you can add on and hire a tax person to help you with that tax software. And it's just because we're seeing more and more complications. IRS estimates that the average time all Americans spend on taxes, it means they spend about 13 hours on it. And a self-employed income or small business, for individual filers with business income like self-employment income reported on Schedule C, the average burden is about 25 hours. You know, that might be the problem is where errors come in is you're having to spend so much time on that. I tell you what, I know this stuff backwards and forwards, and I used to do tax returns myself, but also what I found was a better value of my time is hiring the right person to assist. I do understand this, but I don't want to do the tax return, and especially when you've got a few moving parts in there, and you could say, well, you know, I don't have any business, I don't do any side gigs. Well, if you do, you probably should get some help. But you know, do you have any stock sales? Are you working 2 jobs? Do you have child care tax credits? Are you working from home? Jude shared a client where they're an employee, but their tax issues is their employer's in New York and they're working from home in Louisiana. And he says, oh, they're paying taxes to both states in that situation. You know, what would you like to leave one of them out and then get a letter 2 years from now that you're owing taxes? Because that's what the IRS, if you forget to tax sell or forget to add your Social Security income or that side gig work, yeah, a letter be coming for you with that bill they think you owe, plus taxes and penalties. When we come back, let's talk about the tax play that saves some couples big bucks. You're listening to Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks. We'll be right back.
Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
Would this be your Social Security, your 401k, pension, lump sum, your debt, student debt, credit cards?
You all are so good. I've listened to you for years.
Sometimes I'll pull over to the side of the road and just listen.
Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Gas, groceries, interest rates, all way up. Should I buy, refinance, or sell? Who can I trust? At Gumbo Nation for 30 plus years, we've guided clients just like you through these choppy times with home financing. Now is not the time to trust Aunt Sally's cousins, Uncle Joe. You need to trust but verify with a free second look from Mortgage Gumbo. It's your largest investment and you deserve a guarantee. Visit mortgagegumbo.com.
If you like money, you'll love the Winning at Life app. On the Winning at Life app, you can listen to the show live, and if we're not on at the moment, you can hear a replay of the latest episode of Winning at Life. Whether you're getting a late start on your retirement savings or keeping up with the financial news, Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks is there on demand. Hear the Winning at Life show on the Winning at Life app, your wallet's favorite app.
2 questions. Do you have a pulse? Do you own anything? If you said yes to both, you probably need a will. You may even need a trust. We all know a lawyer. Do you know someone who specializes in estate planning? Do you really trust the husband of your sister's friend from college? Or would you feel better putting your family in the hands of the estate planning attorney of the Total Wealth Authority? I'm Wes Blanchard. What's your plan? Offices in Metairie and at wjblanchardlaw.com.
The Ricks Report with Gregory Ricks.
What we found through history, looking at the past 90 years, most fund managers don't outperform or perform as well as the indexes. Using indexing, historicals teach us skew a higher return. And yes, there's bad stocks in the S&P 500 as it looks right now, and yet the index is up. I like to use index ETFs because those are much lower expense ratios. We try our best in managing our portfolios to avoid trading costs, and we know I've been doing this for 30 years. I've studied trading strategies. You're not going to outsmart the indexes. You may get lucky, you may get unlucky.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks, Saturday mornings at 10 on News Talk 99.5 WRNO. Find us on the Winning at Life app or GregoryRicks.com. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
I'm having a record year. Quarter notes and Hank's halftime. I'm pounding on this hot.
Welcome back. You're listening to Winning at Life, live financial news talk radio. I want to give a shout out to one of our longtime show sponsors, Joe, Mosquito Joe, that is, neworleans.mosquitojoe.com. I've used that service for years. I like it when them little bzzz critters stay away from me. That's when I like them, when they're not anywhere around me. And I can vouch for the service because not only they're a show sponsor, but I use their service as well. Jude Heath of J. Heath and Company CPAs was with us last hour, a show sponsor as well. I think tax returns are complicated. I'm about to talk to you another complicated subject with that, a reason to use them. We also had a caller who's using an attorney for setting up some structure. I'm kind of biased. Wes Blanchard of W.J. Blanchard Law does estate planning and structuring and assists our clients and our firm in that as well. And also, Dwayne Stein, he's host of a show Mortgage Gumbo as well, and mortgagegumbo.com. And he's pretty good in the mortgage business. So he's a long-time show contributor as well to help us on those decisions, what's going on in the mortgage world and interest rates. Also, Ann Spitali's Deli over in Metairie. We had some catering from them yesterday for our employee fun day that we had for them. And yeah, I boiled some crawfish over there from Oak Seafood also. So that was a good time for me. Busy. I was kind of tired at the end of the day, but it wasn't about me. It was about the team of A players that we have to take care of our clients at Gregory Ricks and Associates, the Total Wealth Authority. If you want to join the conversation, 504-2600-995. You know, kind of our focuses on what we do is Social Security decisions are really big. So we do an analyzer to run scenarios to help you make the best decision on that. I think tax efficiency, tax savings, not overpaying. How about creating tax-free income should be of paramount. You saw Biden's $6.8 trillion budget put out there. Oh, it's crazy. That's why, you know, we've got to talk more about creating tax efficiency. The $6.8 trillion. Can you wrap your mind around all those zeros? That's 11 zeros, $6.8 trillion. Here's the money spent. Gender equity and equality around the world, $3 billion. And we got to pay for that around the world. Advances in environmental justice, $66 million. Climate change, $366 million. Green Climate Fund, $1.6 billion. There's some other political transitions initiative, $25 million. Ukraine, $7 billion. It just, a few billion here and there. Next thing you know, we're at $6.8 trillion in spending. If you want to opt out of some of that, well, that's number two. We got to create tax efficiency, create tax-free income. And then we need our money to work and last a long time. So what we have to do, number three of kind of our focuses is reducing risk. Doesn't mean don't take risk, but don't take risk on everything. Because if you limit the downside motion that hits, like last year in the market, did you take the full brunt of that, or were you minimized? Minimized is better because you do want the upside. So if you reduce the downside, you're not having to make up for much of that. Or if you had the proper asset allocation, you might have, when you look at maybe one part was down, but when you look at it as a whole, was everything down? See, think about that. Here's an article that was continuing the play here regarding a tax play that saves some couples big bucks. This is an article by Kirsten Sensiprice, and I believe it's a Wall Street article as well. Spencer Phillips, a 39-year-old orchestral musician who plays the bass violin, loves and trusts his wife of 10 years, but he refuses to file a joint income tax return with her. Instead, Dr. Phillips and his wife opt into the married filing separately status. We'll reference here as MFS. And each spouse reports only his or her income to the Internal Revenue Service. This saves them a lot of money by filing separately and so reducing his stated income. Dr. Phillips' student loan payments on about $200,000 of debt for a doctorate from Eastman School of Music and other programs comes to about $240 a month instead of more than $1,000. See, there's already an efficiency there. This is a huge help to us and other artists, and it's legal, says Dr. Phillips, who adds that he is super aware of tax rules because he has 3 IRS agents in his family. Wonder what Thanksgiving dinner's like, or Christmas dinner when everybody gets together. 3 IRS agents. Well, you know what? That has some insights. Hey, if you want to save some money, pass me the dressing, but, you ought to try this MFS. Married filing separately. Dr. Phillips and his wife are part of the growing number of married families who file separate tax returns. For the decade ending in 2020, the IRS latest available data, the number of married filing couples married filing separately filers rose to 2.6 million, from 2.6 million to 3.9 million annually. While some of that growth was due to couples filing separately to qualify for pandemic benefits, this was a large increase before then. Still, couples in this category are a tiny fraction of the 55 million who filed jointly. One of the things we were talking with Jude Heath of J. Heath and Company CPAs last hour is just the complications of tax returns. And this is one. This really adds the complication to how's that do-it-yourself software. You're probably having to do that, hire the add-on to actually get a tax person to help you with that. One of the One long-standing reason is still among the most common, say tax advisors choosing married filing separately severs joint liability, meaning each spouse isn't responsible for the information on the other's return. This can be a deciding factor for some couples who are separated but not divorced, and others who don't want to commingle finances, even if it raises their taxes. You know, I've been doing this show for over 12 years, and we've had time to time somebody call in and kind of like, you know, I need to get some help. We haven't done a return in a few years. And I remember one caller several years back that called in and spoke about that she was worried about their tax situation because the husband refuses to file a tax return. Well, maybe she should have been one of those options. And look, we put this out there, and file your tax returns. Then you're off the hook from that standpoint. So if y'all aren't on the same page, somebody file a tax return. If the other does it, then you file your tax return there. So I think that's a real important. This can be a deciding factor for some couples who are separated but not divorced, and others who don't want to commingle finances. So, you know, when they're not getting along, it's another reason to go ahead and separate that out. Other couples opt into married filing separately because it reduces their tax bill. For example, unreimbursed medical expenses are only deductible above 7.5% of income. If one spouse has a large unreimbursed medical expense, filing separately could lower that income of the spouse with the expenses and provide a larger deduction. Look at these different scenarios you have to think about there. There's two new factors. Two new factors are likely boosting the trend. More than 9 million borrowers with student loans now participate in income-driven loan repayment programs, according to research by the Pew Charitable Trust. These borrowers pay a percentage of monthly income towards their loans with the aim of having the remaining debt forgiven after a term of years. Married borrowers in these programs are allowed to file separately to lower their income. And Dr. Phillips loans are this type, with most of them in a special public service programs for borrowers working at nonprofit areas like medicine, law, or in the arts. Currently, he pays 15% of its disposable income towards these loans, with the remainder to be forgiven tax-free after 10 years. So there's a whole nother strategy on that. When I come back from the break, I'm going to give you a few other tips to be aware of when you're moving in this direction. If you want to join the conversation, got a question for me, maybe just something to help ease your mind, 504-260-0995. You are listening to Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks. We'll be right back.
Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks. Something that's come up on the show over the last 10 years is that if you're not at your old job, maybe your 401k shouldn't be either. But do you really know why we say that? It's a funny thing. We put a few $100 in our 401k every month. It ends up to be thousands of dollars every year, hundreds of thousands of dollars over our career, and you don't really know that much about it. How do you invest it? How do you diversify? What do you buy? What do you avoid? You've got a financial situation and you're not quite sure what to do. Ask Gregory. Ask Gregory is our new podcast with these financial topics broken down into specific little chunks. So if you have a financial situation or you just want to learn more about money, ask Gregory. Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app or wherever you get podcasts. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC. The firm is not affiliated with the U.S. government or any government agency.
What does your ideal retirement look like? Is it traveling the world, fishing whenever you want, spending time with the grandkids, or maybe you don't know yet? Hi, I'm Gregory Ricks. Let us help you plan the retirement you deserve. Give us a call or go to GregoryRicks.com to schedule a visit. We are Gregory Ricks & Associates, the Total Wealth Authority.
The firm provides insurance services, investment, and advisory services. Offered only by duly registered individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC. AE Wealth Management, LLC. Gregory Ricks & Associates are not affiliated companies.
If you like money, you'll love the Winning at Life app. On the Winning at Life app, you can listen to the show live, and if we're not on at the moment, you can hear a replay of the latest episode of Winning at Life. Whether you're getting a late start on your retirement savings or keeping up with the financial news, Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks is there, on demand. Hear the Winning at Life show on the Winning at Life app, your wallet's favorite app.
We are living in historic times, extraordinary times. A lot of people need help right now, and I want you to remember your local food bank. Now, here in New Orleans, it's Second Harvest Food Bank. Over in Mobile, they've got Feeding the Goal. But you can find your local food bank, feedingamerica.org. Food donations, monetary donations, or I know you've got some free time. Find your local food bank. Support your local food bank, especially in times like this. Do some good. feedingamerica.org.
Fox News, I'm Karen McHugh. An atmospheric river causing severe flooding across much of California.
34 counties here in California under a state of emergency after an atmospheric river slammed the state. We spoke to one man who said that all of his stuff just ruined. He had to wade through these floodwaters. People being held back right now. It's going to be an absolute mess to clean up. This comes after massive amounts of rain fell in this area. One National Weather Service rain gauge even picked up more than a foot of rain over a 48-hour period.
Fox Weather's Max Gordon in Watsonville. Presidential politicking will be getting underway in Iowa in the coming week.
Former President Trump is scheduled to visit the state on Monday. He's currently running, of course, his third straight presidential bid and has taken some clear jabs at DeSantis, who has not announced but is considered Trump's leading rival.
Fox's Alexandria Hoff. America is listening to Fox News.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks is a copyright of Down South Strategies for the private use of our audience. Any unauthorized use of this broadcast without express consent is prohibited. For podcasts, show information, and contacts to our sponsors, go to winningatlife.com or download the Winning at Life app. If you have a financial situation and you're not quite sure what to do, you better call Gregory. We are Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
All right, welcome back. You're listening to Winning at Life, live financial news talk radio. I'm your host, Gregory Ricks. We do this for you every Saturday from 10 to 1. Replay on Facebook Live will start at 1 o'clock when the show ends. We'll reload the audio for audio streaming on Monday as well. And we appreciate you listening. You can check us out on Facebook, the Winning at Life page, where it's streaming. I also shared it to my personal page at Gregory Ricks, so check us out there, the business, Gregory Ricks & Associates. You could check out that page as well. Let's see if I've got a download here. Are you paying too much in taxes in retirement? Go to Gregory Ricks /too much. TOO much. We want to create tax efficiency that, the president gives that line. Well, we're only going to raise taxes on those making more than $400,000 a year. I was asked, Stacy asked me that, is that per person or household? I said, I'm pretty sure it's household. It's based on tax return. So, hey, might be something else with the married filing separately there. But here's the thing for everyone is most everyone, okay, they're raising taxes on those that make more. Well, they're still taxing the rest of us as well on taxes. So regardless of where you're at and what they're adding to the bill, I'm kind of more about, can we be efficient and pay less and generate sources of future income that aren't going to be taxable? There's two core ones that I like, and we do analysis for this for everybody that comes into the firm. One are Roth conversion opportunities. And I believe for most people, there's opportunities for that. Because you've got a period of time you're still working till you retire, and then retirement's probably 30 years. And you can chip away in it. Same way you'd eat an elephant, one bite at a time, start transitioning money. And it's also a part of estate planning, leaving a tax-efficient legacy behind. With both the wife and husband die, then it's being left to the kids and others. Well, that's non-spouse bennies. Those bennies have to distribute those funds within 10 years. So if you're leaving some fat 401k or IRAs behind, that's being ineffective, being tax ineffective there. So we want to work to improve that. So before we went to break, I was talking about the tax play that saves some couples some big bucks. So we kind of went through the article a little bit, but I've got a little bit more information here for you. And one of the last things I talked about is the two new factors that were likely boosting the trend. And that's 9 million borrowers with student loans now participate in a income-driven loan repayments program. The other is business owners also have an incentive to use married filing separately due to a key break enacted in the 2017 tax overhaul known as QBI for qualified business income. It allows eligible business owners to deduct up to 20% of their business income on their individual returns, but to avoid limits, the owner's 2023 taxable income must be below $182,100 for single filers or MFS filers, or $364,200 for couples filing jointly. This means that filing separately can save taxes for the affluent two-income couples in which one spouse owns a business, says Adam Markowitz, a tax professional in Florida. The QBI deduction can be too valuable to lose, even if a filer gives up other tax breaks. Married couples considering filing separately should run the numbers. I'm all about running tax analysis in advance of enacting tax planning. And that's one reason when people come into our firm, whether it's clients for their annual strategy meetings or people coming in to take a look and go through that fit process, is we're going to run a tax efficiency analysis. And that's where we could even go in and look and run scenarios. What if this was adjusted, or this income, or what if this happened, to kind of see the impact. Married couples considering filing separately should run the numbers. Married filing separately doesn't treat two spouses like unmarried single filers, and there are pitfalls. Here are pointers to keep in mind, and you also should refer to IRS Publication 501. That's IRS Publication 501 for more details. So, a couple of pointers here. Know what's different for MFS filers. By law, married couples filing separately can't take certain tax breaks. These include the American Opportunity and Lifetime Learning Education credits, the Child and Dependent Care credit, and the student loan interest deduction. A greater percentage of Social Security benefits can be taxable. In addition, contributions to traditional and Roth IRAs are affected. For example, married filing separately filers typically can't contribute directly to a Roth IRA if they have more than $10,000 of income. But often the saver has a workaround by making a non-deductible contribution to a traditional Roth, then doing the backdoor Roth conversion. Other tax benefits are split down the middle, so each spouse getting half. This applies to the standard deduction, the deduction of up to $10,000 for state and local taxes, the home seller's exemption, and the deduction of up to $3,000 of net investment losses against ordinary income. See, I told you these tax returns are complicated. Even if you're looking for advantages, there's still a lot of hoops to jump through. The second note they say be aware of is be aware of quirks. Married couples are allowed to switch between filing separately for some years and jointly for others. Married filing separately filers can also later amend tax returns to claim joint status. However, joint filers usually can't amend returns to file separately. If one spouse itemizes deduction on Schedule A, then the other must typically itemize as well. The next one, Medicare, it states, be careful. It might seem like a good idea to file separately in order to boost the deduction if one spouse has, say, substantial nursing home expenses. However, this married filing separately status can substantially raise the income-related monthly adjustment amount, or IRMA for short. Payments for Medicare Part B and D because MFS filers have fewer IRMA brackets. Casey Swartz, a senior counsel with Medicare Rights Center, notes that the maximum IRMA increase above the base premium is about $9,400 per couple per year. For Medicare users with higher incomes, the difference would be less, and filing separately could be cost efficient for some. So run the numbers. And finally, state tax, check state tax implications. Many states require tax filers to use the same status for the state return as the federal return, according to the Tax Foundation. Filers in community property states should also determine how state law affects federal returns using the married filing separately status. The filer may need to submit IRS Form 8958 detailing the allocation of income and taxes between spouses. Damian Martin, a tax partner at EY in Chicago, pays close attention to the separate filing opportunities for state taxes. In one case, a couple reaped substantial savings by having one spouse file separately for Illinois and the other, who was retired, claim residence in Florida. They filed jointly on the federal return. I know, that's a lot to absorb right there. But we're going to shift gears. I've got a caller that's just joined us at 504-260-0995. We're going to take that call from John when we get back from the break. And I've got some Social Security questions to answer as well. You're listening to Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks. We'll be right back.
If you've got a financial situation and you're not quite sure what to do, you better call Gregory.
Think of a hinge on a giant door. See, when you come into one of my conference rooms, there's like this 10-foot door. That door that was there was set to the side. So I went to pick it up, took a step, had to set it back down. I didn't have any leverage. The same door's got 3 hinges, which are like nothing in comparison to the door. That's the way a fixed indexed annuity keeps working. The interest rate is like these hinges, which gives you the ability to leverage the indexes for more upside. So I could get possibly 0 on that leverage, or I could get 2, 3, 4% or even more over time.
Gregory Ricks and Associates. Find us at GregoryRicks.com or call 504-832-9200. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Mom, it stinks.
Hush, I'm almost done. All right, now you're safe from bugs in the backyard. Don't let mosquitoes ruin your outdoor fun. Call Mosquito Joe today. When you call, they come out and they do the spraying. Mosquito Joe's time-release capsule lasts for about a month. No more sticky bug sprays. Take back your backyard. NewOrleans.MosquitoJoe.com. NewOrleans.MosquitoJoe.com.
Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
I'm your host, Gregory Ricks, a financial advisor here to answer your questions and help you win with your money.
Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify.
That's exactly what I needed to know. Simple information from good people.
Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
The Ricks Report with Gregory Ricks.
Can you raise your payout on your Social Security after full retirement by continuing working and paying in more? Do you get a raise for that?
Remember, the core thing is Social Security benefits you receive are based on your best 35 years. If you have less than 35 years, those are filled in with zeros. So if you're making more money this year that replaces, say, that first year of the 35, it is inflation adjusted. That will improve your benefit. And they reset that, they recalculate that every year. So even while you're drawing benefits, you could well be incrementally improving your benefits.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks, Saturday mornings at 10 on News Talk 99.5 WRNO. Find us on the Winning at Life app or GregoryRicks.com. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
'Cause you make me want to pull your truck to the side of the road, slide over, let me hold you close and tell you everything.
You're listening to Winning at Life, live financial news talk radio. I'm your host with the mostest, Gregory Ricks. Welcome, and continued listeners, thanks for always joining in. I get so much feedback during the week, and I appreciate that. And for newbies, yeah, we've been doing this for over a dozen years. For Saturday, I did a weeknight show for about 7 years. Had somebody ask me the other day about it, so I see that you don't do the weeknight show any longer. I did that for about 7 years and decided that was a good run for that because I was like Hurricane Ida happened. I was preempted for a month, and I said, well, so this is what having evenings off are like. So I went back after the preemption and then decided that I wanted to end the weeknight show so I could focus more on what we do here on Saturdays for you. So if you want to join the conversation, we have John from New Orleans. He dialed 504-260-0995 to get on the Winning at Life hotline. John, welcome to the show. How can I help you today?
Greg, I don't know much about what I'm talking about. I'm going to ask you a very hard question. You know, we're talking about health care, and if you go into a nursing home, you got to go back 5 years or else they'll take all your money away from you. Now, I've heard that you can make an irrevocable trust with your cash and they can't touch it. Is that correct?
Yeah, you can protect assets in that way once it's been there for more than 5 years. Because of that look back, they're going to penalize you in that case. So generally, you're limited to $2,000 in assets plus your home. If you're married or your spouse is limited, if you're married, your spouse is limited to about $130,000 in assets, in addition to the home and, depending on your state, the retirement plan. So if your spouse has assets in an IRA or 401k, that may or may not be counted against the limit. And Medicaid penalizes transfer of assets, so you can't transfer assets for the most part and get Medicaid help. That's always the rule in nursing homes.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite understand. Here's my basic question.
Okay.
If I made an irrevocable trust 5 years ago and put all my cash and CDs in it, and I go in a nursing home, can they take that?
No, it's protected inside the irrevocable trust when you're referring to cash and CDs. And
Right.
what you're stating, will I be able to qualify for Medicaid? And I'll answer it from this way: you should be able to qualify for Medicaid to pay that. You know, you're asking for and look, we are covered. We've got coverage of Medicare and then gap coverage with the supplements. But the problem with that, you will run out of days of coverage at some point because it's not unlimited. And then that falls on, if you're needing continued health care, that's going to come out of your pocket unless you secured some type of long-term care coverage, and using money to buy some type of coverage leverages your money so it does more. So in essence, what you're stating is, and I'll word it a different way here for you, John, is I want to show up poor when I have to be in the hospital or have care for a long time. And then they're going to pay for care. And depending on your lifestyle and what you're accustomed to, is that the level of care that you want? Because it's not all equal at that point.
Greg, does your company set up irrevocable trust from what I'm talking about?
Wes Blanchard is the estate planning attorney that we co-work together as such in consideration of the clients, and we refer those cases to Wes. So he coordinates, and he's actually in several of our offices on a regular basis and take care of that, and he provides good counseling on that.
Well, I'll call back later and try and set an appointment. Thank you for your help. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you for the call, John. I was trying to make, and I made the point there. If you want to show up poor to qualify for Medicaid, you're showing up as poor, and they're going to pay for it, but they might not pay for the facility that you might feel you would like. Here's kind of how I look at that. Long-term care's expensive and the premiums continue to go up. But what I like to do is use some money to where if I'm in this situation, it provides me more in benefits. And and I'll speak of a hypothetical example. What if I put $100,000 into this financial tool that, if I end up in that situation, would say maybe provide hypothetically $350,000 in long-term care benefits over maybe a 3 or 5 year period if I end up in that situation. But if I died instead, it might pay that $100,000 I put in might be kicked out, say hypothetically at $175,000 in benefits to my beneficiary. Some scenarios is later down the line said, I changed my mind, I don't need this, give me my $100,000 back or some portion of it, hypothetically. That's how I look at leveraging money. And in building retirement plans, because we do planning and we have to plan for the future. If you're retiring at 65, I've kind of like, well, we got to plan for the next 35 years. And if it's for a couple, there's two of you. Highly unlikely you die at the same time. One's going to outlive the other. So one's there to help the first one that moves on. We also have a belief we don't want to be a burden. That's one, to our kids. And number two, we want to go out in the lifestyle we're accustomed to. So when we look at plans in the future, I don't want to plan on being broke when I die. First off, I don't know when that day is going to be, and I've got an article to talk to you about next hour besides the Social Security questions I owe you. Figuring out your life expectancy is tough. how to not run out of money. See, that is the thing. But I want to go out in the lifestyle I'm accustomed to. So on the back end, especially for the second to die of the couple, I believe there should be some assets held in the back there, back end, so to speak, that we can spend through. Sometimes I'll just say, we need to have the capability of being able to burn through a couple $100,000 on the back end of life. And I understand somebody just said, well, that's all I've got saved. Well, then we might need to save 30 or 40,000 for the back end. We don't need to spend through the money. And, if I calculate, what age is it okay to be broke at? Age 110. How's that? So if we do this right and save money and distribute it efficiently, you're going to leave money behind. You don't have to leave it all. Some people want to leave it all. I don't know that that's likely to happen, but you could leave a great portion behind. But in some cases, we're not going to leave much behind because we're going to need it. We don't know what the next 30 years plans out. But I tell you what, I think we're going to live longer. Look at the technology increase over the past 10 years. It's tremendous. It's going to be a multiple of that the next 10 years. You're going to live a healthier, longer life. You're going to be capable of working longer. We need to make good decisions with our money for that back end because regardless, we are going to have a wind down. And you also should look at it, what's the best of the rest? You're not going to say, okay, so I've got 30 years. Well, what's the best of that? Well, the next 10. Get somewhere 7, 8 years out. Okay, I've got 23 years. What's the best of that? So judge your capabilities. So you're looking at retiring. You know where you're going to be most active? The next 10 years. Then that probably will slow down. Some of you probably going to be super active for the next 30. And that's okay too, but we have to make those adjustments and kind of forecast where we're going. Another thought I want to share with you on the shoveling money into irrevocable trusts to avoid the look back. You put your house in Louisiana, you put your house in that irrevocable trust and show up poor. When they look and see that house is in the trust, they're going to deny you for Medicaid, for long-term care. Just so you know that. We've seen it happen. We've talked about it on the show in past. When Wes comes back on, he's one of our show contributors and show sponsors. And when he comes back on, we're going to talk about that topic as well. But it's an important one. But, let's plan efficiently and plan to go out in the lifestyle you're accustomed to. Hey, I'll help you put it together however you want. That's what we do. But we want to look out for you and make sure you have all the information to make great decisions. We've got hour 3 coming up. You hear the music. We're going to take a break here in 10 seconds. We're going to be back in about 6 minutes. If you want to join the conversation, I'll give you the number on the back end. You're listening to Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks. We'll be back shortly.
From the Gregory Ricks & Associates Wealth Management Studios, WRNO FM, New Orleans, an iHeart radio station.
The State Department is aware of 3 Americans who may be missing in Mexico. I'm Pam Huso, Fox News. The women who crossed the border in Texas haven't been heard from since last month.
Marina Perez Rios and Maritza Perez Rios, both residents of Panitas, along with their friend Dora Alicia Cervantes Science. Now, they crossed into Mexico on February 24th en route to sell clothing at a flea market in Monte Morelos, which is a 3-hour drive south of the U.S. border and located just southeast of the Mexican city of Monterrey.
Fox says Griff Jenkins, a State Department spokesperson, says it has no higher priority than the safety of U.S. citizens abroad. The banking business could use a billionaire willing to take a chance on Silicon Valley Bank. It went belly up yesterday.
SVB was the trusted spot for startups because they took chances on upstart companies when no one would. Some are still holding out hope a white knight buyer may swoop in. Elon Musk is always hopping into the conversation, tweeting that he's open to the idea of Twitter buying SVB and making it a digital bank. But the other question is, will the contagion spread?
Fox's Kelly O'Grady. Most U.S. regulators say it's not likely since major banks have been operating under tighter safeguards since the financial collapse of 2008. Another numbers game is playing out in Washington. As Republicans blast President Biden's proposed budget, the White House says some of the changes members of the GOP would make would hurt the economy.
This is a plan that would have devastating consequences for our national security, cut the legs out from the middle class, endanger community safety, and cost manufacturing jobs.
Shalonda Young is the director of the Office of Management and Budget. Republicans haven't unveiled their budget. America's listening to Fox News.
New from the Fox News Podcast Network.
I'm Emily Campagno, and this is the Fox True Crime Podcast.
And I had nothing to do with her disappearance.
I sit down with the people who lived the nightmares.
I was in shock. I was just devastated.
The investigators who tirelessly worked on the case.
And I really hope that they can catch this guy.
Bringing you closer to the story than you ever thought possible.
Listen and follow now at foxnewspodcasts.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
These are the stories that keep you up at night.
Get all of your favorite Fox News podcasts commercial-free on Apple Podcasts with Fox News Podcasts Plus. From Dana Perino, Kennedy, Ben Domenech, The Duffys, and many more. Subscribe now by going to foxnewspodcasts.com. The Fox News Rundown, a contrast of perspectives you won't hear anywhere else. Your daily dose of news twice a day, featuring insight from top newsmakers, reporters, and Fox News contributors. Listen and subscribe now by going to foxnewspodcasts.com.
There's nothing left of a homeless encampment in St. Louis. Bulldozers tore down the last of it yesterday. It was located along the Missouri River near the city's Gateway Arch. Business owners had complained about drug use and crime. Advocates for the homeless say the camp should have been left alone. Across parts of California, there's nowhere for the water to go. Much of the state is getting drenched again.
34 counties here in California under a state of emergency after an atmospheric river slammed the state. We spoke to one man who said that all of his stuff just ruined. He had to wade through these floodwaters. It's going to be an absolute mess to clean up. This comes after massive amounts of rain fell in this area. One National Weather Service rain gauge even picked up more than a foot of rain over a 48-hour period.
Fox Weather's Max Gordon. Winter is holding on in the upper Midwest, which has seen one of its snowiest seasons in recent decades. Several roads in North Dakota are closed, and drivers in South Dakota and Minnesota are urged to be cautious. By tomorrow, the system should move into the upper Great Lakes region. You know, St. Patrick's Day is coming when the water in the Windy City turns green.
St. Patrick's Day may be this coming Friday, March 17th, but in the Windy City, the wearing of the green is already underway. Irish weekend started off Saturday morning with the dyeing of the Chicago River green, a tradition that dates back to 1962. Then there's the bars, which open their doors at 10 a.m. The big parade on Saturday afternoon is always built to please, and Chicago's South Side boasts its own parade on Sunday. Organizers claim it's the largest community-based St. Patrick's Day parade outside of Ireland. As they say in the old country, sláinte. Karen McHugh, Fox News.
And I'm Pam Huso. This is Fox News.
Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks. Something that's come up on the show over the last 10 years is that if you're not at your old job, maybe your 401k shouldn't be either. But do you really know why we say that? It's a funny thing. We put a few $100 in our 401k every month. It ends up to be thousands of dollars every year, hundreds of thousands of dollars over our career, and you don't really know that much about it. How do you invest it? How do you diversify buy? What do you buy? What do you avoid? You've got a financial situation and you're not quite sure what to do. Ask Gregory. Ask Gregory is our new podcast with these financial topics broken down into specific little chunks. So if you have a financial situation or you just want to learn more about money, ask Gregory. Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app or wherever you get podcasts. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC. The firm is not affiliated with the U.S. government or any government agency.
Hey, y'all. Welcome to Winning at Life. Live financial news talk radio. I'm your host, Gregory Ricks. Thanks for joining us today for this hour. Yeah, we're going to talk about making better decisions with your money. One of the topics I'm going to discuss with you is figuring out life expectancy. How not to run out of money. I've got some Social Security questions to answer for you, and we're taking the callers. 504-260-0995. That's a direct dial into the show. You can reach out through the Winning at Life app, text, email, call the show through the Winning at Life app. Email me directly, info@gregoryricks.com. And more information about the show, me, and my day job, CEO, founder, and advisor over at Gregory Ricks and Associates, the Total Wealth Authority. Go to GregoryRicks.com. Well, let's jump to the Winning at Life hotline. Mike dialed us at 504-260-0995. Mike from New Orleans, welcome to Winning at Life. How can we help you today?
Hi, Mr. Ricks. I wanted to ask you a question. I'm trying to help my mom. She's in her late 80s, and she had to sell her home within this past tax year. She got about $80,000. Her only income is Social Security. So what I'm trying to figure out is she lived in the house for about 50 years. How on earth would we determine, a cost basis? How do you handle the taxes on that? The sale of the home.
So what is the price range estimate of what she sold the home for?
She sold it for $80,000.
Yeah, I don't think she's not going to have any tax liability from selling that house.
Does it have to be put on a tax return or not? Does that income have to show it? If it shows up in her bank account, will the IRS? Do you have to account for it somehow?
Bear with me just a moment.
Sure.
I had Jude Heath with me on hour one. That'd have been a great one. For that. Now, let's just go right to the code. I don't know if that has to be on there, but that is something you definitely could go to irs.gov and search, or I'd prefer you reach out to my office on Monday and we can connect you with Jude Heath, or reach out to his office, J. Heath and Company CPAs. But here's the rule on selling a home. If you owned and lived in a home for a total of 2 of the 5 years before the sale, then up to $250,000 of profit is tax-free, or up to $500,000 if you were married and filed a joint return. If your profit exceeds $250,000 or the $500,000 limit, the excess is typically reported as a capital gain on Schedule D. So the actual tax form is Schedule D there.
Okay.
So there's not that much profit here. Your mom sold it for $80,000. So if she had bought the house for $100,000, she's still not there on needing to pay taxes. Now, the other scenario that I thought was maybe coming up, my mom passed, we inherited the house, we sold it for $80,000, then what's her cost basis? I don't know what her cost basis is. Well, you get a step-up basis at the time of death, so if the value was $80,000, you sold it, you wouldn't owe taxes on that either.
I see.
Yeah, so, but she's still living when you sold it, and she's under that $250,000 if she was the only living owner of the house. She's in no worries from a tax standpoint, so she gets to keep all that money. What else can I help you with, Mike?
That is it. That takes a load off.
Okay.
I really appreciate your help.
Okay. Appreciate you listening to Winning at Life and trusting us with some information for you. So that's great help right there. Made my day on that, as all these callers do. Thanks, Mike, for calling into the show. And if you would like a little bit of help, we'll do our best to answer it or direct you. But that's just, once again, back up on that would be J. Heath and Company, CPAs there. And the Schedule D is that. But as one of the neat things still in the tax code that we can take advantage of is being able to keep some of those profits. And, there's people that, accumulate value over that way, is kind of do the next house and then sell in 5 years. Now, the president, with the budget proposal, is sure trying to eat away at what we're wanting to keep. And Joe Biden's released his 2024 budget plan Thursday that promises to cut the deficit by $3 trillion over the next decade, thanks to a flurry of new and increased taxes aimed at the richest Americans. Isn't it interesting how when they propose or do something, they also include, we're doing this, but we're cutting the deficit, or we're cutting spending by this amount over the next 10 years. But then next year they propose more spending. So what happened to this cut you were trying to do? That's what, it's just that play on, but we're going to cut it by $3 trillion. Okay, so you're promising not to spend any more on anything else ever. Yeah, I don't think that's going to work out that way. The proposal is merely a first step in the federal government's budgetary process and is unlikely to be enacted in its current form. Yeah, it's not likely to be enacted, but they're raising, the proposal is to raise the corporate tax to 28%. That'll bring them another $1.3 trillion. So the budget calls for increasing corporate tax rate to 28% from the current 21%. White House argues the increase is still far below the 35% tax before Donald Trump slashed the tax in 2017. Well, I'll argue that's a lot more than the 21% currently. Why do we have to discuss the 35? What you were think it's a big deal you didn't go back to that? Okay. I'll stay calm on all these tax increases. Impose minimum income tax on the 0.01%. I'm not going to waste showing this. We'll talk about this more in the future, but they're raising taxes everywhere. And you think they're like, oh, no, they're not going to do it to me. They're going to do it to my neighbor. No, they're doing it to you, too, in some way. Let's talk more about some things that can help us now. You're listening to Gregory Ricks and Winning at Life. We'll be right back.
Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
Would this be your Social Security, your 401k, pension, lump sum, your debt, student debt, credit cards?
You all are so good. I've listened to you for years. Sometimes I'll pull over to the side of the road and just listen.
Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Mortgage Gumbo, can you help me? Can you help my client purchase a new home loan? Gumbo Nation, this is the questions I receive daily from listeners just like you. Hi, this is Dwayne Stein of MortgageGumbo.com, and I'm proud to say yes, I can help you. At Mortgage Gumbo, we guide you through the home buying process, giving you the whys to each step in your exciting journey. Let's start with a free chat today. Visit MortgageGumbo.com.
If you like money, you'll love the Winning at Life app. On the Winning at Life app, you can listen to the show live, and if we're not on at the moment, you can hear a replay of the latest episode of Winning at Life. Whether you're getting a late start on your retirement savings or keeping up with the financial news, Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks is there, on demand. Hear the Winning at Life show on the Winning at Life app, your wallet's favorite app.
Less than half of Americans have drawn up a will. If you don't have one, you know you need to get one. But what if you do have a will? Is it up to date? Has anyone in your family been married, divorced, or passed away? Have any new family members been born or adopted? Don't leave your loved ones in a bind. Call me and we'll make you a plan or update your existing plan. Hi, I'm Wes Blanchard, an estate planning attorney in Metairie. What's your plan? Find me at wjblanchardlaw.com.
The Ricks Report with Gregory Ricks.
Do you like having your money follow where momentum is? Remember, everything cycles in the markets there, and you've got to have proper asset classes. And how about a tactical approach that follows momentum? And if there's a black swan effect, like maybe a pandemic, and not have to suffer all of that downside move. That might be why you should take a look at the Invest 50-50 philosophy. Why I think, always felt, they're doing it wrong out there. There has to be a better way to help people grow their money and have it positioned to take income from without it being crushed when the markets go down.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks, Saturday mornings at 10 on News Talk 99.5 WRNO. Find us on the Winning at Life app or GregoryRicks.com. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Yeah, the boys round here drinking that ice cold beer, talking about girls, talking about trucks, running them red dirt roads out, kicking up dust. The boys round here sending up a prayer to the man upstairs.
Hey, y'all. You're listening to Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks, live financial news talk radio. For newbies listening to the show today, I've been in financial services pretty much all of my adult life and helping people make better financial decisions. From a core standpoint of Gregory Ricks and Associates, kind of been doing that version for a couple decades now, on helping people with planning, accumulating wealth, and distributing it efficiently over time. You know, because one thing I'll ask you is there retirement without income? There is not. One of the core parts of income is Social Security. Most people, I'll just simply say, probably get it wrong. So that's been an important part of this show for the more than 12 years we've been doing it. The number one question topic on the show's kind of always been Social Security. When I was, for the past few years, doing the wine, wisdom, and food events, and we did survey questions, and that was the main topic as well. So here I'm in a moment, I'm going to answer a few Social Security questions for you, which gives a good broad range of topics regarding that to help you with your money. We want to make good decisions, and I am founder and CEO of Gregory Ricks and Associates, and besides me, there's a team of 4 wealth advisors on the team. Overall staff count of about 20 people that are A players dedicated to helping you with your money. We actually did a crawfish boil yesterday to give thanks for these A players and what they do for their clients. But, you know, if you're wanting to get involved with a firm, we create a fit visit for you to get to know us. We get to know you and see if there would be a possible fit going forward on working together. Purpose of that first visit is it's a fit visit. You're not going to have to make any decision at the end of that fit visit and going through your information, having a broad discussion of our philosophies and what you're looking for in your situation. We would schedule a next visit. And in that, a lot of things we're going to provide. You know, I'll relate it to the doctor's office. You sit down with them, want to go over some issues, concerns that you have, and then tests are run. Then you get back together to review those tests. And there's typically as many as 10 to 12 items we could do analysis on. But one of them, for example, would be risk. One might be a budget audit to talk about. You know, what's your inflow versus outflow on income? What is your income needs for retirement? Social Security is a analysis that we do, because it has to be coordinated with you and your spouse, also with your retirement goals, what's going to be the most efficient and way to maximize that benefit. And an income plan analysis out there, an investment strategy analysis on what you're doing currently opposed to what it can be. And I could continue, but you see, we do a lot of work right there in preparing you. Even we'll take and simplify that into a one-page plan that makes it easy to understand going forward. I've got offices around the region, Metairie, Louisiana. We've got Mandeville, Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and Gulfport, Mississippi. We do Zoom meetings, video meetings, phone meetings. And, you know, yeah, I'm biased. I like the in-person meetings. So we bring you into a very comfortable, home-like environment at our offices, and there to take care of you, make you feel at home with us, and have a visit. There's a limit to how long the visits. We typically cap them at an hour. Otherwise, beyond that, you're overload. Can they run past that? Yes, but there's a limit because we've got other people on the calendar. We're not there to sit in all day. So if there's more work to do, we're happy to schedule you in to continue that process going forward. And becoming a client typically is a process of probably 3 to 4 visits in that process. And then that shifts over to strategy meetings, subject to quarterly to annual after that. And to get started or explore the concept of that, the website's gregoryricks.com. You can email info@gregoryricks.com, or simply one phone number I'm going to give you to set up a meeting at or visit at any office, or to call in. You don't want to call in the show, you got a question, we're there to help you. You can treat us as a sounding board as well. That's who we are. Here's that number, 504-26. No, that's all. That's the radio show number. Let me give you the office number, 504-832-9200. 504-832-9200. And the website is GregoryRicks.com. Got a couple of downloads for I mentioned this budget audit. So we've got a resource, an interactive budget workbook. You know, you might not like living on a budget, you know, that's too tedious. But you got to know what's going on. What's your inflow, outflow? You've got to have some margin in there. That's where savings comes from. And creating an emergency account, then that allows you to invest. And if you're live through your working life without an emergency account, I tell you, it's even more important in the retirement phase. So if you want to kind of get started to see where you're at regarding your expenses, go to gregoryricks.com/budget. Don't think of it, oh, I don't want to live. 70% of the people don't live on a budget. It's okay. But you still need to know what's going on and have an idea. So do a budget audit. Go to gregoryricks.com/budget to get that started. So let's talk about Social Security for a bit. Here's a question from the asker, and I referencing Epoch Times and Tom Marginal for resources here on this. When I was 65, I retired and took free Part A Medicare, but I didn't want to spend all that money the government was gouging us. Make sure I ask the question right. But I didn't want to spend all that money the government was gouging us to take the Part B. However, 5 years later, when I was 70, I decided to take the Part B. So I took it and started paying a penalty on top of my regular monthly premium. I'm now almost 80 and I'm still paying the penalty. That just proves my theory that the government is made up of a bunch of crooks who are just out to gouge all of us senior citizens. Okay, here's the answer. Well, you didn't really ask me a question. You just got out there on your box and blamed the government for the Part B penalty predicament you find yourself in. I think if you are looking for someone to blame, you should just go look in the mirror. If you had done your homework when you were turning 65, you would have learned that your Part B Medicare monthly premium would be increased by 10% for each year you opted not to participate in that part of Medicare. And if you had learned that the penalties are and you would have learned that the penalties are permanent. Yeah, those penalties don't go away. So you kind of messed it up. You were trying to save a few bucks each month by foregoing Part B coverage all those years, and now you're paying for that mistake. It sounds like you're trying to put the blame for that mistake on someone else. You know, it kind of goes back to two things that you have to make decisions on. One is Medicare. You have to make a decision to turn that on. So Part B is going to penalize you if you don't turn it on when you're supposed to get that coverage. You say, well, I'm never going to use the government-funded insurance program. And then you change your mind later, as this asker did, and then there's a penalty for doing so, and it's not a one-time penalty, then it's permanent thereafter. There's another one on the Part D, the drug portion of Medicare now. There's a penalty for not enacting that at that time. So it's important to make these decisions timely. And if you're not sure what to do and you understand and you might be upset, well, they're gouging me, or why do I have to do? Reach out, get some help, and get some clarity. This show is a great resource, but my office, my team's a resource. And we actually have a team that can help you with these Medicare questions and get some clarification, and we can help direct you to resources if you want to shore up your knowledge base on that as well. I just hate for you to be locked into a forever premium or not have your coverage properly started. I've got some more questions that's going to be of help to you when we come back from the break. You're listening to Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks. We'll be back in a couple minutes.
Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks. Something that's come up on the show over the last 10 years is that if you're not at your old job, maybe your 401k shouldn't be either. But do you really know why we say that? It's a funny thing. We put a few $100 in our 401k every month. It ends up to be thousands of dollars every year, hundreds of thousands of dollars over our career, and you don't really know that much about it. How do you invest it? How do you diversify? What do you buy? What do you avoid? You've got a financial situation and you're not quite sure what to do. Ask Gregory. Ask Gregory is our new podcast with these financial topics broken down into specific little chunks. So if you have a financial situation or you just want to learn more about money, ask Gregory. Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app or wherever you get podcasts. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC. The firm is not affiliated with the U.S. government or any government agency.
If you're unprepared for current market volatility and concerned about how it could impact you, take action now. I'm Gregory Ricks. Let us help you devise a strategy to navigate this market. Make sure you're still on track to reach your financial goals. Schedule a visit at GregoryRicks.com. We are Gregory Ricks & Associates, the Total Wealth Authority.
The firm provides insurance services, investment, and advisory services offered only by duly registered individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC. AE Wealth Management, LLC, and Gregory Ricks & Associates are not affiliated companies.
If you like money, you'll love the Winning at Life app. On the Winning at Life app, you can listen to the show live, and if we're not on at the moment, you can hear a replay of the latest episode of Winning at Life. Whether you're getting a late start on your retirement savings or keeping up with the financial news, Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks is there, on demand. Hear the Winning at Life show on the Winning at Life app, your wallet's favorite app.
Cancer Crusaders has been raising funds for cancer research in New Orleans since 1976. Cancer Crusaders, Inc. is a nonprofit, all-volunteer organization with no administrative overhead. Cancer Crusaders has raised over $4 million so far, and all of that money goes to the Louisiana State University Health Sciences Center Foundation and the Tulane Cancer Center in New Orleans, where they are literally working on a cure for cancer. Get involved, donate, volunteer, or attend a fundraiser. CancerCrusadersLA.com.
Fox News, I'm Karen McHugh. Rising concerns over the nation's economic future following the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank.
SVB was the trusted spot for startups because they took chances on upstart companies when no one would. Some are still holding out hope a white knight buyer may swoop in. Elon Musk is always hopping into the conversation, tweeting that he's open to the idea of Twitter buying SVB and making it a digital bank. But the other question is, will the contagion spread?
Fox Business's Kelly O'Grady. Words of caution from a former vice president regarding Iran and its nuclear ambitions.
Impeachment has never worked, and it never will. A renewed nuclear deal won't lead to peace and stability. It will lead to more terrorism, death, and destruction, and destabilize the region.
Mike Pence speaking at the 2023 Washington Summit. America is listening to Fox News.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks is a copyright of Down South Strategies for the private use of our audience. Any unauthorized use of this broadcast without express consent is prohibited. For podcasts, show information, and contacts to our sponsors, go to winningatlife.com or download the Winning at Life app. If you have a financial situation and you're not quite sure what to do, you better call Gregory. We are Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
Ain't it fun?
Welcome back. You're listening to Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks, live financial news talk radio. We've been doing this show for better than 12 years for you. We're over on Facebook Live. You can watch. Hey, everybody. And go to the Winning at Life page and check us out. Share the stream to your friends and help other people learn about this show and the opportunities to improve their financial knowledge. Maybe they'll do something like you're doing, like check out my blog every week and look at some of the financial articles that we've posted up from some of my reading so you increase your knowledge base on an ongoing basis. Just whether you do an article a day, a few a week, a book a month, increase your knowledge. Especially, look, I think you should always increase your financial knowledge, but maybe in your core field, I think your income is directly related to how your knowledge is in your field. And I was having a discussion with a team member about that and some other licensing the team member wants to achieve for future promotions. And it's just struggled with the learning. And I said, well, I said, don't put a deadline on it. Just start absorbing information. I said, it's just, maybe could be as easy as 30 minutes a day, 4 days a week. Because you know what's going to happen in a couple years, you'll look back, well, a couple years has passed. If you've not done anything on it, then you're still trying to get that started. So don't worry about the deadline. Don't put it just start learning. And I said, look, if you did that for 2 years, you are going to have all that information absorbed. And you want to stress yourself, I got to get this done in 6 months. Just start learning and move forward. You'll get there. That will make a big difference for you. If you want to join the conversation, 504-260-0995. Let me jump to another Social Security question here. The writer said, I had done lots of research and lots of planning to make sure my wife and I maximize our Social Security benefits. I waited until 70, just 2 months ago, to start my Social Security. My wife, who was always a homemaker and doesn't have her own Social Security, is also 70, and I filed for spousal benefits on... Go back to it. My wife, who was always a homemaker and doesn't have her own Social Security, is also 70 and filed for spousal benefits on my record. We were counting on her getting half of my Social Security. So imagine my shock when we learned that she is only getting about 38% of my benefit. Everything I've ever read says a wife gets 50%. Why is the government cheating us? The other question I asked, they was worried about the government's gouging us. This one's the government's cheating us. Well, here's the answer. It's pretty simple. The government isn't cheating you. I think you cheated yourself and your wife by not doing enough research. Had you done your homework? And that's a lot of resources out there, or listening to the show, you would have learned that your wife's spousal benefit is based on your full retirement age benefit, not your augmented age at 70. So your wife is getting 50%, but again, it's 50% of your full retirement age benefit, not your age 70 benefit. And a little more information, if you should die before your wife's does, her widow's benefit will be based on your full age 70 retirement benefit that you started. So she deferred, and as a rule, she can't draw on your benefit unless you've turned that benefit on, but it's always based upon the FRA benefit. Now, if she had turned it on before her age FRA, it still would have been, and let's say you were both 63 and both had turned it on, but her benefit would still be based upon your FRA benefit, even though you didn't get an FRA, but it had been on that primary insurance amount, and it would have been reduced from that. It wouldn't have been 50% of what you turned on by turning it on early. So just a couple of different tweaks right there to how the spousal benefit works. Let's jump to another question. What an outrage. What a scam the government is running on poor educators like me. I was a teacher in Texas and get a teacher's retirement pension. Texas researchers aren't allowed to pay into Social Security, so I don't have any Social Security of my own. But my husband spent his whole life paying into Social Security, and now we learn that because of some bad law called the government pension offset, I won't get any of my husband's Social Security. But now, while he is alive and even after he dies, no wonder people don't trust the government when they are allowed to pull a fast one like this on people like us. It wasn't a secret, and I'll tell you, if you're not participating in Social Security, you should dig into more of, oh, you don't have to pay Social Security, we have a pension. So what you're looking is, oh, I don't have to pay that tax, great. Well, you're also not getting the Social Security benefit like you think you were as well. So think about that. That's like, what's up? What's the penalty for not paying in? Well, I'm going to help you with that. It's no scam. There's no rotten laws. There's no fast ones being pulled. And when you hear my explanation, you'll see that there's no need for outrage. The best way to explain what's going on is with this example. Let's say that somewhere in a Dallas suburb, two married people are neighbors. Bob and Carol live in one house, and next door live Ted and Alice. They all recently retired. Bob and Carol both worked at jobs that were covered by Social Security. So now Bob gets $2,800 per month in retirement benefits, and Carol gets $3,000 per month in her own Social Security retirement check. Neighbor Ted also worked at Social Security covered job, but Ted's wife, Alice, was a teacher, and just for the sake of comparison, I'm not going to say that like Bob, Ted gets $2,800 in Social Security retirement benefits, and Alice, like Carol, gets $3,000 monthly retirement benefit. The only difference is that Alice's retirement check comes from the Texas Teachers Retirement System, while Carol's check comes from Social Security. Carol isn't due and doesn't expect any spousal benefit on Bob's record. Why? Because the law has always said that one Social Security benefit offsets another. So Carol's own monthly benefit of $3,000 is way more than 50% spousal rate should be due on Bob's account. Or to put it another way, when you are due two Social Security benefits, you don't get them both. You only get the one that pays the higher rate. The government pension offset law, which is another that was called rotten, that law says simply says that a public retirement pension like Alice's teacher's retirement pension will be treated just like a Social Security retirement pension. In other words, it will offset any Social Security spousal benefits that may be due. In fact, before the GPO law went into effect, Alice would have been able to receive her $3,000 teacher's pension and a $1,400 dependent spousal benefit on her husband's Social Security account. Nobody else could get such a windfall. And in fact, the GPO law cuts teachers a sweet deal no one else can get. It says that only 2/3 of the teacher's pension will be reduced as an offset. So go back to Bob and Carol and Ted and Alice. When Bob dies, Carol won't get a nickel in widow's benefits because, again, her own $3,000 Social Security check offsets dollar for dollar the $2,800 widow's benefit she'd be due if she didn't have her own Social Security. But when Ted dies, Alice will get some widow's benefit that Carol won't get. That's because only 2/3 of Alice's teacher's pension, or $2,000, will be used to offset the widow's pension on Ted's account. So after Ted dies, Alice will keep getting the $3,000 teacher's pension, and she'll get $800 in widow's benefits on Ted's Social Security account. If I were Carol, I'd be the one complaining that the teachers get such a sweet deal from Social Security that no one else can get. We'll be right back, Winning at Life.
If you've got a financial situation and you're not quite sure what to do, you better call Gregory.
The single biggest financial regret of Americans surveyed by Bankrate was waiting too long to start saving for retirement. Respondents 50 and older expressed this regret at a much higher rate than younger respondents. Morningstar calculated how much you need to sock away monthly to reach the magic number of 1 million saved by 65. Assuming a 7% annual return, you'd need to save $381 a month if you start at age 25 and almost $5,800 a month starting at 55. You see, that just really becomes an obstacle when you delay.
Gregory Ricks and Associates. Find us at GregoryRicks.com or call 504-832-9200. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Mosquitoes. We know them as flying, blood-sucking pests, but did you know that mosquitoes are actually highly intelligent? They can smell human breath, our sweat helps them choose their next meal, and they use our body heat to find just the right place to bite. Outsmart mosquitoes with help from Mosquito Joe. Mosquito Joe has this time-release capsule that they spray that slowly releases its mosquito death over a course of a month. NewOrleans.MosquitoJoe.com. NewOrleans.MosquitoJoe.com.
Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
I'm your host, Gregory Ricks, a financial advisor here to answer your questions and help you win with your money.
Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify.
That's exactly what I needed to know. Simple information from good people.
Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
The Ricks Report with Gregory Ricks.
I'm young, I'm 22 years old, and I'm just now starting to get into the 401k and the percentage and stuff. How much money do I need to save to, retire at around, 60, 65 years old?
So first off, one of the first rules, if you're getting a match, you need to get 100% of the match. The match is free money. Those that are putting off turning on their 401k because I need that money every month. No, you need to get the match. That's the priority. What's great for you is you're taking advantage of one of the greatest things on the planet, and that's compound interest and time. At age 22, you're not going to have to put away a lot to achieve this goal versus if you wait to 35 or 40, it's going to seem like a mountainous task.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks, Saturday mornings at 10 on News Talk 99.5 WRNO. Find us on the Winning at Life app or GregoryRicks.com. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
It's a little too loud on the highway. I wanna pull back in your driveway. It's way too quiet at my place. Wanna come on over, come on over. I just wanna hear that ringtone.
You're listening to Winning at Life. I'm your host, Gregory Ricks. Do this for you every Saturday. So join us next Saturday. Another 3 hours of topics that should help you with income planning, Social Security planning, creating tax efficiency. How about creating tax-free money? Minimizing risk. Thanks again to our show contributors, Mosquito Joe, NewOrleans.MosquitoJoe.com. You're going to want to be hanging more outdoors probably. And, I tell you what, the little pesky bzzz, need to keep them away. They'll help you out. Wes Blanchard, estate planning attorney. If you need some structuring, you need to, would want to opt out of the public view. You need a will. So you can sort out all this stuff you've accumulated. Make sure who you want to get it, gets it. I think another part of estate planning is make sure the people you're leaving stuff behind don't argue with each other. If they're going to be mad, have them mad at you. You're gone. And that it goes how you want it to go. Jude Heath, another show sponsor of J. Heath and Company CPAs. I think taxes are complicated, even for the do-it-yourselfers on the software, you're likely having more and more complications. I covered an article and talked with Jude about that in the first hour today. So I so many times I see somebody trying to shave a couple $100 by doing it themselves, and they end up spending more later. And Dwayne Stein of mortgagegumbo.com, he has a show and also is a show contributor. And he has a good understanding of interest rates, putting together mortgage deals, improving credit, such as that, and give him a shout out as well. So I covered Jude Heath, Dwayne Stein, and Wes Blanchard, our show contributors there. And Spitali's Deli, I always kind of kid around. Go ask them about the Crazy Gerald menu over there, but we used their services for some catering at the event yesterday for the team. So give them a shout out over in Metairie. One thing, another article I wanted to talk to you about. Also, I've got so much more. Y'all want to do another hour? No, I'm just kidding. Come back next week. We'll do this over again. But figuring out your life expectancy is tough. How not to run out of money. So this is a Wall Street Journal article that we're going to get posted up by Neil Templin. And if you're using life expectancy calculations to plan your retirement budget, you could run out of money. He goes on to say, consider a husband and wife, both 63 years old and who plan to retire at age 65. They have enough money for a 25-year retirement. According to Social Security Administration's actuarial life table, the man can expect to live another 18 years after retiring, while the woman can expect to live almost 21 years, as it sounds as if they have saved up plenty. What are the odds one of them will outlive their 25 years of savings? More than 60%, according to a calculator from the American Academy of Actuaries and the Society of Actuaries. The calculator uses the same Social Security data with a few basic health questions mixed in. Looking at the averages isn't a foolproof way of determining how long you can expect to live. People die at a variety of ages over a period of decades. According to Actuaries Calculator, a 65-year-old man in excellent health who doesn't smoke has a 90% chance of living to age 70, a 79% chance of living to 80, 43% chance to 90, and 8% chance to 100. It's a challenge, says Richard Fall, a Philadelphia-based financial advisor and actuary. We never set a financial plan to be based on a life expectancy. Hey, we don't either at my firm, my day job, Gregory Ricks and Associates, a Total Wealth Authority. Continues on in the article, for married couples, the math gets more daunting. If the 65-year-old man is married to a 65-year-old non-smoking woman in identical health, there is a 10% chance one of them will be alive at age 103. A 10% chance. I'd say that's pretty strong. I know you're disagreeing with me on that, but let's see. Do you want to err on that? That's why you got to plan for living longer. I tell people, they're 65. Well, you got to plan we have to plan for 30 years. Oh, no, I'm not going to be around. Well, data tells us you have a decent chance to be around longer. These retirement periods are a lot longer than people plan for, says Linda Stone, a senior pension fellow for the American Academy of Actuaries. I've been saying this all the time. You have to plan longer. I know people don't like it, but that's my job. You can plan to die at 80. I'm going to plan on you dying late 90s. We're going to err in your favor on that. Further complicating things, it's common for one spouse to live another 10 or 15 years after the first spouse has died. The variability in lifespan presents big financial planning challenge. Spend too much and you'll run out of money long before you die. Spend too little and you unnecessarily crimp your golden years. I saw on a show the other day about a book guy's written is Die Broke. I guess that could work out, but how do you get it to work out that way? You know, he's kind of more of life, just spend it as you go. Look, there's ways you can take to make sure you have enough money no matter how long you live. They include using an actuarial calculator to obtain more realistic appraisal of your lifespan, and then creating a base of regular income from Social Security, pensions, and annuities, and other secure sources to cover essential expenses. If you have taken those two key steps, you have a lot more flexibility in what you do with the rest of your money. We'll see how we go here. I'm probably not finishing up this article. It's going to be up. I'm going to talk to you more about it next week. But you can't plan to run out of money. It's something that you have to have. And in my day job, we're a sounding board as well as we are planning for income and making plans for risk and making plans for longevity. This is why we do annual strategy, because we're always looking forward, looking at what adjustments need to be made, or if you're overspending income. I look on the other way, you don't hear me say this much, but I've talked to people about enjoy retirement more. You know, I've had when you go to the ball game, get the better seats, fly up front, stay in a nicer hotel. Y'all go eat steak once a month or a nice dinner. Enjoy life. You're piling up money. Have some fun. See, we go in that way as well as the opposite side of, hey, save. Hey, join us next week. You're listening to Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks. Call my office if you need help. 504-832-9200, GregoryRicks.com.
Firm offers insurance services. Gregory Ricks & Associates is an independent financial services firm that utilizes a variety of investment and insurance products. Investment advisory services offered only by duly registered individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC. AE Wealth Management and Gregory Ricks & Associates are not affiliated companies. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This radio show is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for a financial decision, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual's situation. Gregory Ricks & Associates is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein, provided by third parties, have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Gregory Ricks & Associates. Please remember that converting an employer plan account to a Roth IRA is a taxable event. Increased taxable income from the Roth IRA conversion may have several consequences, including, but not limited to, a need for additional tax withholding or estimated tax payments, the loss of certain tax deductions and credits, and higher taxes on Social Security benefits and higher Medicare premiums. Be sure to consult with a qualified tax advisor before making any decisions regarding your IRA. Neither AE Wealth Management nor advisors providing investment advisory services through AE Wealth Management recommend or facilitate the buying or selling of cryptocurrencies. Third parties and guests of the show are not affiliated with, nor do their opinions reflect those of Gregory Ricks & Associates or AE Wealth Management. AE Wealth Management provides services without regard to political affiliation, and the views of individual advisors are not necessarily the views of AE Wealth Management. We are Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
WRNO FM, New Orleans, an iHeart radio station. Available everywhere on our free iHeart radio app. #1 for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one.